It's the Go to Hell podcast. Strong opinions, weekly held. Starring Tim Curley, Colton Pierce. Now, let's join the show.
Cool.
Yeah, cool beans. Our first beer this evening, we are drinking our home brew of Nevermild. It's the Ramblin Brew Company's second beer making. It's our DBA replica.
We gotta get busy drinking this. Otherwise, we're gonna have it left for October. It'll turn into an Oktoberfest beer.
Yeah. So, need to have some parties, have some people drink it. It's definitely a lot more drinkable, I feel like, this time than when we first had it. I don't feel like it's as sweet. And it doesn't have that, like, buttery thing going on. So,
Yeah, it's not as thick as when we first brewed it. It's lost that, whatever that word is. It was told to us 2 or 3 times. I'm not going to remember it. I don't have to like read it but it feels like it's lost that.
yeah. And it's nice and well carbonated, so it tastes good. So if you would like to come by Tim's house and fill up a growler next week when he gets back from his trip, by all means, come on by, have yourself a beer, and go from there. If you want to know our ABV, we're thinking we're sitting at like 3.5%. So
Yeah, this is just an aperitif for the other beers we're doing.
yeah, but it's good. Really enjoying it. A lot more than I did the first time. So, but I did like this one more than our ale. I'm not calling it an IPA.
Yeah, no, it's a nail. All right.
You ready for your? It's not even a trivia trend this week.
Sure.
But don't worry, Andy. It's not annoying. I promise. Well, you might think it's annoying, but it definitely won't take up that much time. What we're going to do is Tim is going to answer, and I might chime in on my stance on it. I have 8 athletes, and I'm going to ask you if they had this handicap, whether or not you feel like you could beat these professional athletes at their game if they had these handicaps. Okay?
Is that me now or me at like 22?
It means you now.
I'm going to say no on all of them.
What? Oh, come on. All right. So first off, we have LeBron James is who you're gonna play a 1v1 against LeBron James, best to 21. Okay. But the handicap that he has is that anytime that he touches the ball, it magically gets turned into a beach ball. That's the size of a basketball, so it will make it through the hoop, but it's a beach ball and yes, he still has to follow typical basketball rules. So he has to dribble it and everything. And yes, he can dunk it, but
Then he still beat me.
wait, I also want to say that it's heavily inflated. Like, let's say that it's like a fully inflated one to where it's like you can't like.
That's not at all a handicap. If we were doing like horse, I could probably still beat him, but no.
You don't think so? You don't feel like him dribbling, like he still has to dribble like 3 times or 2 times before he has to go for his dunk.
He'd murder me like Shaq backing into, I don't know, Steph Curry.
I guess. But
just
like
be dunked and then boom, dunk.
It's fair. That's fair. All right. Well, okay. I also didn't think that I could beat him with a beach ball, but somebody on TikTok was very adamant that he felt like he could beat him in a one-on-one if he had a beach ball. And I was like, he just dunk it. And I was like, but I don't know. That's what he said.
The other thing is he can still just pack the shit out of you when you're trying to take your shot. There's only so many like drop step shots I can get away with and underneath them or head fakes. He can still pack me.
Yeah, that's true.
So scoring's a whole problem. Like I said, if it was horse, yeah, I'm a pretty good shot. I can shoot a basketball.
Oh, don't worry. We'll get to that one.
Oh, okay.
Number 2, Tiger Woods, but you have a 10-foot wide hole.
Let's say you had a 10-foot wide dick.
I'm not going to make any comments on this. I'm going to refrain from having any type of joke on that. 10 foot wide in diameter hole.
I have one. He doesn't.
You have one. He has a regular.
Oh, I could beat him then.
You think so?
Yeah.
I could not. Bro, like, I
Are we
mean,
playing
sure,
a
you'll
full
never
eight-
two
Are we
putt.
playing a full 18?
Yeah. Full 18.
No, he'd still beat me. No, he'd still beat me because he'd outdrive me.
He is insane.
He'd
with the
hit
driving.
one. He'd hit one a good.
But
Like
you'd
Nolan
only
could,
ever.
Nolan could probably hang with him, but not me. He'd outdrive me, and then I'm. Yeah, I just know.
But you'd never have to two. Like you'd never do anything but a two putt.
If it was like 100 yards in, I could beat him. But if we're teeing off, no. Because 100 yards
100 yards with the 10-foot.
with a 10-foot, he'd still, I don't know. Once he puts it on the green. No. That one's a little more. That one's more.
That one's better
Close,
than the
though.
beach ball.
Yeah.
Number 3, Michael Phelps, but you get a canoe.
I don't think that helps me. I don't think that helps me at all.
I don't think
the canoe adds drag that he doesn't have.
I mean, maximum speed in a canoe is like for an average person, I'm assuming is like 6 miles per hour, or like a kayak, not a canoe.
How far are we going?
200 meters.
No, he's still going to beat me. I got to turn that thing.
No. Like, let's say it's a straight shot. 200 meters.
Well, it's longer. So I have an instant advantage at the start and the finish. But he can get off. No, he's still going to beat me. See, you're screwed there because the short distance, he can get going full speed quicker than I can get up to full speed with a paddle. Even if I'm like a really good paddler, he'll be way past me. I don't know.
All right. So currently,
These aren't dumb though. They're thought they are. That one's.
Tim is currently believed that he will take the L 3 times in a row. All right, number 4, Shaq in a free throw competition. That's his handicap. He has to make free throws.
Yeah, I could beat him in that.
Oh, there you go. All right. I was like, what's his career free throw percentage? Like 53%.
His career's 53, but you get him in like a 10. Let's say it's first 1 to 10.
Well, it's also you now and them now as well. So like,
yeah, I could definitely beat him.
Well, and I feel like he's less practiced in his free throws now than even he was back then.
But I would say even, I would beat him. Watch though, he would finally show up because it's not on television and shoot it the way he should have done it the whole time, which was granny style, and then he'd beat me.
That'd be great.
I remember Rick Barry was always like, just shoot it granny style. Who cares what anyone says? Like, no, not going to do it. It's like, well, I get it, but still.
Number 5, Usain Bolt. This one's fun because this was actually a conversation over the weekend. And it was, if Joey Chestnut and Usain Bolt were to have a competition where they had to do one thing and then the other, so they have to eat a hot dog and then run 100 meters, who wins that race? And everybody has been saying it's Joey Chestnut. And so I'm saying same thing for you, except you don't have to eat a hot dog. But Usain Bolt has to eat a hot dog. So he has to down a hot dog and then he gets to run his 100 meters.
How many times?
What do you mean? How many times?
Just once?
Yeah, you're
I'd
running a
beat
100
him.
meter dash against him.
I'd beat him.
But he has to eat a hot dog before he starts his 100 meter.
Without having any idea how he stuffs his mouth, I'm going to say I win that one.
Yeah. That was what everybody was saying with the whole Joey Chestnut versus him, where it's like, so Joey Chestnut can eat a hot dog in like 1.5 seconds or something. When it's the first one. When it's the first one, he can eat one in 1.5 seconds. And then it's like the average person to eat a hot dog. And I don't know. I was like, what size hot dogs? Because no offense to the Nathan's beef franks, but they're not huge hot dogs. Like,
No, it's the bread though.
yeah, it is the bread.
And you can't just say, "Why did I do what he does and dip it in the bread?" That is a practice. You can't just like stick the bun in the water and eat it like one time. Like that's a whole thing you got to get used to.
Yep. So
There's a reason why he's the only one that does that, or one of few. There might be one or two other people who've done that, but it's efficient and it makes it better. And it certainly helps your stomach because it's already wet. So that bread doesn't expand, I
Yeah.
don't think,
I don't know.
anymore in the stomach, but it's still hard to chew.
So that's 2 in a row wins for you. That's not bad.
Or just counting them as dubs.
Yeah. You got 4 L's or
Well, I knew
you
that.
got 3 L's
I
and
would have
2
been
wins.
cocky
So
frat bro and said like, yeah, I definitely.
Dude,
I've canoed
I've
before.
seen people say that. Like, I thought it was great that you were honest about your Tiger Woods game. I would lose to Tiger Woods. I was like, I don't think that's. I don't think I beat Michael Phelps in a canoe either. Shaq in a free throw, I can't beat him. Usain Bolt in the hot dog, I do think it would take him too long to eat the hot dog, and I could beat him. Serena, but she has to use a badminton racket.
Like, just to be clear on the last one, I would beat him, and then I'd collapse at the finish line, and then he would finish up after me, and then probably vomit on top of me. Is how that would go.
Nice.
So it's a win and a loss depending on how you look at it. So
yeah, but then you could say you beat Usain Bolt, and then you could say, and he vomited on top of me. It'd be like a double brag.
Do a Patreon auction for the shirt.
Yeah. So
Usain
Serena Williams
Bolt vomit this shirt.
Yeah. Serena Williams, but she has to use a badminton racket.
Nah, she'll still beat me.
Nah, I think so too. I think that she's got it dialed in enough to where
tennis was never my thing. I did racquetball for a little while, but no.
I played tennis in high school, and I still think that she'd smoke me. I mean, she's still got a wicked serve, which I would never be able to return. And then on top of that, yeah, I feel like she would have it dialed in enough to where she'd be able to hit with that thing, and I don't think it'd be that big of a deal. She'd have to swing, and she already has a ton of power. She's
still fit too, and she's not like Shaq, where Shaq's in fairly good shape, but he's got all that mileage on his knees. She looks like she's still in pretty good shape, so she would just go at the front of the court and then just beat my ass. She'd just be like, boom, no. Like, that's probably what she'd do. She'd camp right at the net.
Number 7, Scotty Scheffler, but he's blindfolded. So he gets to be set up and he gets his club, but he's blindfolded.
Oof. I think I might win that one.
Guy that I saw was extremely confident that he could easily win that.
Although the last time I swung clubs, there's no way I would. But I'll say yes on that one.
I would not still. I suck ass at golf, so.
I don't know how much. That one's close. I don't know. I could go 50-50 on that.
All right. Number 8. Tom Brady. In a game of football, you guys have the exact same teams. You get to choose whatever position you want to play. Tom has to play left tackle.
Oh, I'd win because I play defensive end and I would just run underneath and around him every time. He'd just be like trying to bend over like he's trying to pick up his baby and missing.
Yeah.
Because I'm not fast. I'm quick off the ball. So, yeah, I'd win that one.
I think so, too. It was like, I think he's an
I can
incredible
scheme up a
quarterback.
mad game, too. So, we go head-to-head on that. I'd beat him.
And our last one, I gave you 9 instead of 8. I thought about this one. This one was on there as well. I didn't count the soccer ones. The soccer ones were kind of dumb. They asked a couple of soccer ones, and I was like, nah, not doing those.
Can I beat Beckham, but he has a balloon?
They were like if they were in heels, like 6-inch pumps or something, or
Well, that's just mean.
or if they're in moon shoes.
Yeah, I'd
or
win that
something.
because they roll ankles and
I didn't
low
feel like
on
that.
knees.
I didn't feel like that was a hard question. I'm like,
Yeah.
no. Conor McGregor,
Okay.
but he has his hands tied behind his back.
No, I'd lose.
That's what I said. The other guy was adamant that he would beat him. He's like,
No.
no, I'd get away from his kicks.
If he's a boxer, maybe.
yeah,
But no, he knows how to use his legs and his head.
yeah, I'm like,
No, hell no.
Yeah, I was like, this guy's dumb.
Pile drive me with his shoulder blade
Yeah.
and laugh.
Well, if you heard any of those and you strongly disagree with us, or you think that you could definitely do one of those things better than we could against those professional athletes, then by all means, feel free to let us know about it.
All right, I have one for you.
Oh, yeah, you got one?
I have one. Most top flight English league titles, so First Division and Premier League. So we're going all the way back.
Combined.
Who the top 10 teams with titles?
Oh, okay. So we're talking about before Premier League.
We're talking about both.
Yeah. Okay. So you're talking about
So First Division, and then until
I thought you were talking about like First Division, like now First Division count, like so like
no.
Leeds won it last year, and so therefore I have to like
so First Division, and then in 92, 93 became Premier League. So going back to the start of English soccer,
top 10
pro soccer, top 10. Can you list the top 10 franchises with the most? Yeah, with titles.
Liverpool
number 2. Do you know how many they had?
32.
19.
Oh, all right. Well, that no, I have no idea how many they have.
It does seem low.
If it's only 19, then Manchester United.
That's number 1.
20?
Yeah, 20.
Okay.
I would have thought they was much more than that. Because, I mean, we're taking the league back at least 100 years.
Yeah.
And the top one only has 20. You're like, okay.
Well, now I got to think about teams that were good for long periods of time, that have like rich histories. That's the hard part, where you're like, because when you look at like Manchester United, the majority of their success is under Sir Alex Ferguson. Like they weren't like a team that won all the time, and then they won a bunch. Arsenal,
number 3,
15,
13, pretty good. Most recent title. You know what year was?
I love that it's going to be something super later back, because
it is this century.
Yeah, is it 2005? No.
That's close. 2003-4 season. He has the top 3.
Okay, Chelsea
at number 7
with 7 titles.
6.
Oh, it only takes 6 titles to fucking.
Yeah. Hey. Which is also like, how is this possible?
Then at this point, is City on the list?
City is on the list. They're number 5 with 9.
Okay.
And both Chelsea and City are tied with another team. I mean, there's another one with 6 and there's another one with 9.
Okay. 6, 9. We got Chelsea. Is there any teams like 4?
With 4? There's 2 with 4.
There's 2 with 4? Okay, let's go ahead and go with Spurs, just to round off our blues and reds. Did Spurs make the list or no?
No. Wait.
Tottenham Hotspurs?
No.
So that's my first miss. Newcastle's
tied at 9-10. Yep, with 4.
Wow.
You know when their last title was?
87.
It was 99 years ago. It was 1926-27.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Golly. That's just knowing pain, like your entire fandom.
That's what it used to be like. That's what it used to be, a Red Sox fan.
Yeah, that's true. Or a Cubs fan.
Yeah.
And now it's just the Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah.
Okay, so how many have I gotten so far? 5, 6?
1.
I got the top 3, then I got it. Then it was
5.
Wait, I got the top 3. Then I got City, Chelsea, and
6.
Newcastle.
6.
So 6. So 4 left. Let's go. This seems far fetched. This one's kind of like. Does Everton make this? Oh, really?
Number 4.
Number 4.
Really? Tied with City with 9.
Wow.
Last title was 86-87.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everton nearly got relegated last year or whatever. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then Chelsea was 8. Is that what it was?
You have
no, they were
one,
7.
two. You have 1 through 5, 7, and 9.
Okay. So is there another team that has 9 as well?
No, you got the 2, Everton and City.
Oh, okay. And Newcastle was tied with Chelsea.
No, Newcastle's tied with another team for 4. Chelsea's tied with another team for 6.
Oh, got it. So they're
I
down.
think
at
there's
5.
one more you should get, and then the other 2, I'll be surprised if you get them.
Okay. There's one other team that I should get. No. Let's go QPR, Queens Park Rangers.
I love that you said that. No.
No, they don't have one. Forest.
Nope.
No, Nottingham Forest doesn't have
Nope.
one. You know
The one I think you should guess has 7.
You know that Nottingham Forest has a Champions League win or like championship.
Yeah.
I should be able to get. They have 7. Who am I missing? London. I've done the London teams. I've done the Manchester teams. I've done South, North London. I've done the 3 Blues. I've done the 3 Reds. Haven't I done the 3 Reds? Yeah. I've done the Liverpool teams. Leicester?
Nope.
They only have the 1, right?
Yeah.
Brighton?
Nope.
Are they in the Premier League right
Yep.
now? Not Brentford. Not at West Ham.
Nope.
Aston Villa?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
They have 7, but their last one was 80-81.
Wow. I didn't think that they had ones. Honestly, I felt like Aston Villa was coming out. And then the other 2 are teams that aren't in the league anymore. Swansea?
No. Next one's got 6, and then there's one with 4 out.
There's a team that has 6 and they're not in the league right now?
Yes.
Oh, so they must be
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I don't think they're in the league.
years back. So what are they?
Number 8 is Sunderland with 6.
Oh.
They last won in 35-36.
Wow. They're probably still riding
And
that.
at 10, well, tied at 9 and 10 with Newcastle, is Sheffield Wednesday with 4.
Nice. That's awesome.
And they last won in 29-30.
Shout out Sheffield Wednesday when you play them on a Wednesday or on
That's
Sunday.
40, it's 39, 53, 62, 71, 78, 84, 90, 90. That's 98 championships right there. Okay, that the math does check out.
So that's Leicester's little sneak in one. And then who's the other one? That should actually be that's the bonus trivia question. Who's the 100th team that snuck in there? That's not on that list. So Leicester's in 2017.
List all teams with first division and Premier League championships.
I'll go get a beer while this happens.
Come on, Chat GPT. Oh,
I'm not going to be deceived by those Sierra Nevadas. Those are just different ways of saying things.
yeah. I had a peach one on Sunday. It was foisted upon me. That was actually better than the regular one. No, Kenny did.
The peach beer, the peach ale the other day was actually pretty good.
Okay, they didn't quite answer me. They complicated a little bit more, but we get a little more insight. So teams with both Premier League and First Division championships. Sorry. We didn't tell you before, this is the summer soccer episode of the Go to Hell podcast.
Yeah. Yes, we'll be talking about the
United has 13 Premier League championships and 7 First Division. Arsenal has 10 First Division, 3 Premier League. Chelsea has 1 First Division, 5 Premier League. City has 2 First Division, 7 Premier League. Liverpool has 18 First Division, 1 Premier League.
They have 2 now.
Leeds has 3 First Division, no Premier League. Blackburn Rovers has 2 First Division, 1 Premier League.
Well, wait, but is this counting I guess it's called the Championship Division now. But I don't know. I'm confused. Blackburn's Rovers.
Let me just see who's won Premier League championships.
Well, I'm curious who
Premier League championship
I'm curious who that last one is.
teams.
Oh, it's Forest, 1978.
Okay.
Oh no, wait, what the heck? Actually, this is so wait, it said 98 championships? Oh, it must be considering outside of it was the last 100 years or something.
Yeah. I
Okay.
got up to like 94 or something.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you have Leicester's win in 2016 season. Then you have Blackburn Rovers won Division 1 in the middle of a bunch of Manchester United wins in 1995. Leeds won in 1992. Forest won in 1978. Derby County, 1975.
Oh, wow.
1974 was Leeds as well.
Derby County.
Yeah, Derby County. The Wanderers wow, they barely didn't make the list. Was it 4 was what needed to make it? Wolves has 3 Division 1 titles.
Oh,
League
sad
One
news
titles.
about the player who just moved.
Cunha? No.
What is the Wolves player
Cunha?
when he
The one that
died?
moved to Manchester United or no?
No, somebody died. Prominent player died in a car accident over the weekend
Oh,
or
damn.
last week. Maybe he didn't play for the Wolves. I think he'd switched teams.
Oh, Yoda.
Yeah, there we go. Diego. He and his brother died in a car accident.
Lamborghini driven by Liverpool's Yoda in fatal crash was probably speeding. Damn. Yeah, that guy was on your fucking team.
Yeah.
Damn. That's a bummer. He's a great soccer player.
All right. So we'll see how many main topics we have tonight. Might just keep it light and not too long.
Because Tim's got to get ready for the weekend.
Yeah, well, I'm not worried about that. Okay, topic number 1, we're going to talk about Bluey. We've talked about it before. I see you, Tank. Right on cue. Tank sits here right next to me, wanting pets. So there was an episode I'd mentioned to Colton, 6 weeks ago, that I really enjoyed. And then he mentioned one that was also really good. So we want to talk about those tonight. If you're not a Bluey fan, you can just turn it off now, and so you can go to hell. And then bye-bye. We'll see you next week. The episode that I really enjoyed, I enjoyed both of them. The one I brought up was the Bluey episode, Pass the Parcel. It's season 3, episode 13. Pass the Parcel is kind of like in the United States, it'd be like, what's the game we play at Christmas?
Yeah, it's the one where you have like oven mitts on your hands and you're like trying to unwrap the thing that's rolled in duct tape or whatever.
But it's the one where everyone gets a good gift and then someone gets screwed with a bad one. Anyway, Pass the Parcel is apparently some game that kids play. They have at birthday parties where you pass it around. It's like musical chairs, and then when the music stops, the kid that has the gift gets to keep the gift. And so,
they get to unwrap each layer. So
no.
I'm saying so. It's not you get to keep the gift.
There's
got
layers.
several layers
That's
of
right.
wrapping
Sorry.
around it, and so you unwrap. You get the one unwrap, and then if it's not there, then you keep passing around.
That's correct.
Until it gets opened up, and that's the person that gets the
correct.
gift.
Sorry. So the episode starts with him at a birthday party, and the dad is going to do the music, and he's going to do it the way you do it. I'm not going to say you're supposed to do it. The way you do it. And the mom says, no, we don't do it that way anymore. Everybody gets a gift. And I think his name's Spike.
It's Lucky's dad.
Lucky's dad.
Is the name of the character. So it actually, Spike. Lucky's dad is, a lot of people talk about that he's kind of the unsung hero of the show. So like, he's the one that doesn't have any of the kids, but whenever he comes over into the backyard or he ever helps out or anything, he automatically takes on the rules of the game that everybody else has just accepted as part of it, and he just goes along with it like the entire time. So he's kind of like a fun uncle that just kind of lives right behind them. And so the premise is right now they're at a kid's birthday party. It's one of the friends' mom's kid, and she has to go help with something else, and she's like, "Oh, hey," and his name's Pat. She's like, "Pat, can you run the music for Pass the Parcel. And he's going to run it the way that he knows how to do it, which is he's going to turn his back, close his eyes, and just play the music and press stop whenever.
And it's funny, they lean into him being an old guy because he can't manage the phone. He can't figure out how to play the music on the iPhone.
Yeah.
And so the music's playing, and the kids are like, his son, I think his kid's like, Dad, everyone's like, stop the music. He's like, I'm trying to figure this thing out. So he immediately protests and says, what's with this? There's a Aussie term they use for it, but it's basically like, what's with this snowflake shit?
Yeah.
We didn't do this back in the day. This is why we're raising a nation of wusses and snowflakes. And so,
because the way that they're playing is that it has to stop on every single person at least once, and they get to open it, and there's like a little mini toy inside.
Right.
So
rather than do it randomly, he's got to make sure that each kid, it makes a stop so they can unwrap, get the thing, and then
and everybody gets a gift,
and everyone gets a gift, and everyone's happy. So
fast forward, it's his kid that's next in the birthday cycle.
Correct.
That they're
and the
following.
wife is preparing the Pass the Parcel. And he says, no, we're not doing any of that wuss crap. We're doing it the proper way. And she says, fine, it's your problem then. And he says, fine. And then so we're at basically looks like Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah. That's so great.
So again, just leaning into the fact that he's like an old school guy. He's got a boombox
that's got paint on it, which is so great. I was like, hell yeah.
He's got a boombox with
I remember the boombox in my garage.
Got a boombox with a CD in it.
Yeah.
Not an iPhone. And he just starts going, and the first kid gets nothing. I think the first kid's Bingo. It's Bluey or Bingo. I think it's Bingo.
It's Bingo.
And Bingo stands up and cries and runs to mom. And then basically every kid keeps not getting something, stands up and goes and cries. And it's just causing all this pandemonium for the parents. The parents are now mad. The kids are all crying. And then the one kid who gets the gift is like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Because I got the one gift.
And it's a big, like, squirt gun or something like that.
But now everyone hates Pat.
Yeah.
Because Pat's a meanie. Because
Also,
everyone doesn't get a gift.
Also, what's funny is if you look at after every birthday party in this episode, which they're only 7-minute episodes, but Bandit's eating something from the party on the way home.
Yes.
Every single time he's got something that he's eating, because they're talking to Bingo about the whole party and that kind of stuff. So the kid that wins the gift is the next birthday in the cycle, birthdays, and he wants to play it
Pat's way.
Yeah, he wants to play it Pat's way. Lucky's dad's way and so the next time,
they're still not thrilled with it.
They're not thrilled with it, but they are not running to mom and dad.
They're not running to mom and dad. Now there's this sense of dread or anticipation. Like, am I going to be the one? Oh, and then not Bluey, but Bingo continues to be the one who gets screwed. Like, Bingo's always the one sitting who's last got the parcel.
Yeah. And then hands it off and somebody else gets it.
So we go through this cycle of several birthday parties where we're now doing it the Pat way.
At one point they go, now the kids are less skeptical and they're like, we're playing it Lucky's dad's rules. And their kids are like, hooray. And he like spits out his juice and is like, did I just say hooray?
Yeah.
It's so great.
Oh, no, but I think the first time where they go to when the other kid does it, he says, it's not my rules, it's the rules, or something to that effect. So we get towards the end of the episode, and again, the kids have now adopted it because they find it exciting. It's not about getting a gift. It's about it's largely about being excited, but they're in the car. Bingo's once again been screwed, been the one holding the package, handing it over as the music stops, and the kid next to him takes it. In fact, he sits next to the same white fluffy dog twice, and that one gets it, I think, in 2 different parties, makes out with a gift. The mom turns around and says, I'm really proud of you, Bingo, and for the way you handle this and not getting a gift. And Bingo responds, I really get happy seeing my friends happy.
Yeah, she said, when Leela's happy, I'm happy. And she says, I think you're getting really good at losing bingo. And it shows kind of this montage after that of birthday party after birthday party, like 3 in a row, where bingo has accepted losing and being happy for her friends and what they're getting and not necessarily.
And they're all that way. They all
Yeah,
cheer
they
when
all
someone wins. They're all like, yay, someone,
Yeah.
so-and-so got the gift. And then at the end of it, bingo ends up getting a gift. I really like the episode because, one, it is something, I think it does a very good job of being respectful to, hey, there are reasons why we do play these games. Not because boomers or before or Gen Zers were sadistic people who like to see people disappointed, and that everyone winning is not necessarily, I mean, it does it in a very even-handed way of showing, like, you know what? Not everyone does need to win. It doesn't actually, though, say also everyone winning is a loser thing that's going to be the destruction of society.
Yeah, even like at the end, Pat goes up and he plays the music. Bandit says, I think it's only right if we have Pat play, since all the kids are now kind of infatuated with this new way of playing. And so Pat comes over to play music because it's Bluey's birthday party now, and Bingo's playing with the kids. And Pat comes up and he's like, hey, which rules are we playing? And he's like, it doesn't matter to me which ones we play. And his wife comes in and is like, oh, what about raising this wuss society or whatever? And he's like, ultimately at the end of the day, it's just about the kids having fun.
Yeah.
And I mean, they say it in different terms than that, but that's ultimately
Aussie way.
It's about having fun. And I mean, there are lessons to be learned in things, and also just realizing, like, hey, we don't win every single time. And that's just kind of how life works. Not everything is going to be, and not everything has to be a life lesson, but also it's not a problem to sit there and say that sometimes things are different and you don't always win every single time. There's another Bluey episode that I really like.
Well, before we wrap this one up, I think it is powerful that Bluey, what's her name? Bingo says it, and the mom doesn't have to instruct her on, well, maybe you should take pleasure in seeing other people's getting pleasure. I think it's really profound that it's the kid, it's the youngest that learns the lesson on their own of, you know what? Selflessness is actually pretty cool, and me, and not being about me and what I'm not getting isn't important. It's seeing my friends happy. And again, it's just done in a very, it's not subtle, but it's not in a browbeating lecturing way.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
So, I don't know. That one just struck me. Again, I like, probably non-Christians would bristle that's a Christian attitude. I don't think it is. I don't think most of society has ever been geared towards, you know what, you should really care about what your other fellow man. We're generally trained up in this evolutionary man eat man, dog eat dog. If you don't take care of yourself and your little clan, your family, then you might die and starve to death. So do whatever you got to do to be happy and survive. And that's certainly not an American mentality. And based on what that show is, the message from that show, I can bet that American capitalism has taken over the urban centers of Australia too, and there's probably an attitude there that they're kind of talking to. So
yeah,
so I really appreciate. Again, what I was saying was I appreciate seeing. I find Christian morals in secular stories more powerful these days than I do like reading something from the Bible. The Bible's still important, but I think it's more profound, and one doesn't have to get their lessons from reading some story about, from the New Testament or the Old Testament. The gospel winning and winning people over in whatever context, I think is great. And you like the cricket episode.
yeah.
Which isn't really doesn't have that kind of a message, but it does have a fantastic message for.
I like it from just like an athletics perspective of I don't know. I resonated with that episode a lot. Just also trying to get away from, kind of what Pat was talking about, where he's like, it's what it's all about, at the end of the day. And the cricket episode talks about that for sports in a different way. And so the cricket episode and also pretty much every episode that has a character narrate it is fantastic. There's a couple of different narrated episodes, and this one's narrated by Bandit, which is the dad for Bluey and Bingo's dad. And he's like, it starts off where he's like, okay, let's talk about the time that we tried to get Rusty out. And so Rusty is a red Kelpie that's in the show. That's one of Bluey's friends. He goes to school with Bluey, and Rusty, I say all the time, I tell Reese all the time, there are several different Rusty episodes. There's probably like 5 or 6 different Rusty episodes where Rusty is one of the focus characters. And every single one, pretty much at the end of every episode that has Rusty in it, I always tell Reese, I'm like, Reese, I hope someday you find a Rusty. Like, I want that's the guy that I want you to marry. Because there's like an episode where he takes care of a kid that has ADHD. There's a Jack Russell character that he's like, I have trouble focusing and I have trouble with this, and Rusty plays with him, and all of a sudden that kid's able to focus, and it's one about ADHD, but it's also about a kid that's he's a stranger, but he's helping this kid out. And so there's just different things. There's an episode where he like plays moms and dads and is just like, he's very nurturing and helpful and that kind of stuff. Great character in the show. And he's, a 7-year-old. But this particular episode is about a kid that loves cricket. And so it's Rusty's turn to be out. Bluey wants to play a different game. And he's like, all right, we'll just get Rusty out and then we can move on to the next game. And Bluey's like, oh, you're never going to get Rusty out.
Yeah.
And Bandit's like, nah, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm a grown ass man. I got this.
Yeah. And so, and it's actually about the 3 dads that are there that are all trying to get this kid out.
Yeah. It takes, all 3 of them end up having to take a go at it.
Yeah. And I love that it shows. So the 3 dads come up with different strategies, and it shows
Bandit. Every strategy Bandit says what I didn't know, what so and so didn't know,
right? And so
what so and so didn't know was
yeah, and it's great. So he has he's like, all right. So they come up with this plan. They're like, oh, he likes the square cut. So a square cut in cricket is he's gonna bounce it off to his strong side immediately, a square cut from where he is right off to his right. And so what they said is they don't know about Rusty's kitchen. And so he's out there playing with his brothers and sisters out in the front yard. He's playing cricket, and he tries to square cut it, and he hits it into his kitchen with his mom and hits her in the face. And she comes out with the chancla and like tries to beat all the kids. And so he started to work on his square cut. And so then you see him practicing in the backyard, trying to hit a can off of a post or whatever. And then the next time it cuts to him playing with his brothers and sisters, and he's able to hit it in between the 2 windows of his kitchen without having to hit his mom that's in the kitchen. And so he goes, so it cuts back to them playing as a group, and then he hits it right in between the 2 dads. And then they're like, all right, we're going to change things up. So they then try a curve, and then they say, oh, we're going to hit it right off of this crack. And it talks about that Rusty's dad is in the army, and it's pretty known throughout the show that his character's dad is in the army. And so they're going to hit it off this crack, but he goes and he plays at his friend's Jack's house, which Jack is the Jack Russell who has ADHD. And so he goes and he plays at his friend's Jack's house, and his front yard is this yard with trees and stuff all over the place. And so he learned how to hit things out of crazy places. And so just a little crack wasn't going to do anything. And then the third one is with pace, which is with lots of speed. And so Lucky's dad comes up and he tries to throw it as hard as he can. But Rusty, and it was a weakness of his, but he worked on it. And he has this great moment where he talks about playing with his older brother's friend group. They play with a real cricket ball and it hurts and that kind of stuff. And he has this kind of knockdown, get back up kind of moment through the show. And so ultimately at the end of the day, Lucky's dad stands no chance. That's the whole thing. And they get to the point that I love is at the end, the dads are still adamant. They're like, we need to get this kid
Yeah,
out. Like,
now
it's
they're
a
mad.
matter of pride for all three of them. They're like, we have to do it. And
Because he's now hit, what, 50? He's like
just
hit like 50 in a row.
Yeah, he's just hitting a bunch in a row, and they're just like, all right, we got to get him out. And so they go, and Lucky's dad threw everything he had at that ball. And Bandit says he could have hit it in next week if he wanted to. But he just hits it.
He sees his sister.
He sees his sister
standing out there, bored to tears,
and she's a
feeling
toddler.
left
She's a
out.
toddler, like little 3-year-old or whatever.
Yeah.
And he hits it perfectly to her, and he's like, "Oh, you got me!" And then heads out, and they're like, "And that's lunch." But the dads realize what they saw, and Bandit says, "And that's what cricket's all about," because he's trying to explain to Bluey through this process that cricket is a lot more than just hitting a stick with a ball.
Yeah.
And it shows lots of montages of a kid that just loves cricket and just wants to play and have a great and just play and just have a good time and just wants to work on things and do that kind of stuff. And as an athlete, as a coach, I just loved seeing that. And it just like, I don't know. I feel like it resonates with anybody who's been in athletics before. There's kind of like a fun moment that he fist bumps his older self as he's walking to lunch. It like cuts to a cricket field and he fist bumps his older self, and his older self is a professional cricket player as they're walking off the field. And that's kind of a cool, fun touch, which Bluey likes to give that kind of stuff. They throw hints and stuff in there about what happens to the characters later on and that kind of stuff. So I don't know. It's a great episode. It doesn't have as much of a Christian.
It doesn't have a Christian, but it's still important. It's about the one with the fastball, the one with pace. That one's actually, I think, really profound. Well, they're all but that one's profound because he's playing with all of his brother's friends, and his brother pulls him aside and says, like, my best friends, he's not gonna.
Yeah, they're not gonna go easy.
They're not gonna go easy on you. So just letting you know.
And then he tells him, well, maybe you should wait till you're older or whatever.
Yeah, and so he keeps working on it, and then the same kid basically says, is anyone dumb enough to take a crack at me? And Bandit says, yeah, I'll do it. And then Bandit cranks one, basically what we'd call a home run, because he's just been working on it. And his brother's proud of him. So, and I like it. It's the perseverance, it's the working hard, but it's also, it's not work, it's passion. There's no travel team involved. There's no coach.
Yeah,
it's just
right?
the kid.
Just kids playing.
Yeah, just doing, and for us, I mean, the two easiest sports to do that with are football and soccer. I mean, basketball and soccer, you just get a basket and you just shoot and you shoot and you shoot just over and over and over again. And those are really easy sports in the U.S. to get very good at because, baseball, you got to worry about breaking a window or that kind of where you're going to throw the ball and that kind of thing.
You can only throw it at the pitch back so many times.
Yeah. But it's like basketball and soccer. I mean, soccer, you can get a fairly decent, small goal, but still work on just kick, placing the ball where you want. But basketball is certainly the easiest one, which just shoot a million times, you're going to get really good at it. And it's really cool. It's a really cool episode to see that. And you can tell that Bandit's really proud to see the kid being that way. And
yep.
Anyway, those are the two episodes we're talking about. If you don't watch, even if you don't have kids, if you're looking for just something to watch,
7-minute episodes, people.
They're 7-minute episodes. You can see some of them on YouTube TV, I think. If you have Disney, they're all on there. And there's only 3 seasons so far.
They are 50-episode seasons, though. So
it's a lot.
There's 150 episodes, but they're 7 minutes. My sister-in-law was like, how many episodes a day do you guys watch? She was kind of judging us or whatever because we were like, oh, yeah. But really, we only let Reese watch like 4 a day, but that's 28 minutes. So
yeah, you're basically watching an episode of a sitcom. So
yeah, well, and then she was babysitting her, and she's like, my daughter's like Bluey, because that's how she says Bluey, and she's like, okay, we'll put it on. She has Disney Plus, she puts it on, And she was getting frustrated because she was like, I had to come back there and like turn it on like every like 8. She was like, those episodes really are short. And it's like, yeah, it's like, yeah, they're not long, but they pack a huge punch in some of those episodes for only 7 minutes. So like there's some of the themes I think we talked about on here. You have like a mom who's dealing with not being able to, or mom's sister, her aunt has kind of avoided the kids for several years, and it's because she was never able to have kids. And again, you're like, this is a kid show? And you're like, I mean, it's portrayed really well, and the kids are obviously going to miss that. But you as an adult, you're like, wow, that was hefty. There's an episode, I watched it today. I've seen this episode quite a few times, but like the mom's dad has like a heart problem, but he's not taking care of himself. And so the kids show up and they like try to run away into the bush with their grandpa or whatever. And mom's trying to chase them down because she's like, you need to rest. And I don't know if everybody resonates with that one, but my grandfather, my grandpa believes in like working himself to death. Like I remember a couple years ago, I was legitimately working with him and he was like having chest problems or whatever. And I'm like, dude, you need to go to the doctor. And he's like, no, I don't need to go, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, dude, you need to take care of yourself. And one of the themes of that episode is we still need you.
Yeah.
Like, I get it that grandma's gone and whatever, and you don't care about yourself, but we care about you.
Right.
And we still need you. We still want you here. And then he goes in and he ends up resting, and it's a really beautiful moment in there. But like, you know, they pack punches for such a,
Yeah, they do.
for such a lighthearted show. Also, by the way, if your dogs are interested, all of the colors are able to be seen by dogs. So the color blindness, my dogs don't watch it, but the show is designed with the color scheme, and the colors that are used are actually for color blindness for dogs. So
To try that. I've never tried that with Tank. Tank very much, he doesn't watch TV, but he is a bark. If there's a dog on television that he sees or hears, he definitely attacks the TV or starts barking at it. It's very funny.
Yeah, so dogs are able to see all the colors that are used in Bluey.
That's cool.
Yeah, kind of fun.
Yeah, it's a great show.
There will be a Disneyland attraction that will be centered around Bluey. They're working on it. If you know about the show, they're adamant that every episode has to have kind of that punch packing. There has to be some sort of message about parenthood, about life, about something that it can't be just like an easy gimmick or whatever. It's not just like, you know, a Paw Patrol episode where it's like, be nice to people. Like, you know, it's something I'm not throwing shade at that, but they are adamant about pushing these heavier topics in a kid's show. And so actually one of the reasons why, and Disney has obviously seen that they could make a lot of money off of it, and they are contracted through Disney, Bluey is, even though they are put on by the Australian government and it's an Australian TV show, but Disney allows they pay for a lot of the production and all that kind of stuff. Disney, they are working, the studio that makes it is adamant that whatever attraction that you were going to put in your parks has to have that same kind of qualities with
cool.
it. So that's actually the one, it's not like a hang up, but it's just, okay, it's not like Disney was like, no, like we're going to write that out of the contract or whatever. It's okay. So how do we create an experience like that at our parks that does that? And so that's what they're working on together as a team to try to create something like that. So I don't know if that interests anybody that listens to this show, but I was
Chris
like,
will be interested.
I thought it was a pretty cool thing as somebody who really enjoys the show and thinks that there's a lot of crap television that's out there. There's a lot of crap television out there. This is not one of them, in my opinion. So
I think it's really good because I think well done animation, like kids animation. I'm not talking like anime, but like good Disney, good the other studio is made in that way where kids
Studio
get
Ghibli,
entertained.
is that what you're talking about, or
Huh?
Were you talking about Studio Ghibli or Pixar?
No, I was talking about Pixar, which
Pixar,
is not
gotcha.
owned by, but
Got you.
really good animation. Kids are entertained, but there's something on another. Like I would even say, like Frozen is as annoying as it's gotten from how ubiquitous it is. There's jokes in there and stuff that like are above kids' heads that are more for grown-ups. But I think that show's really good because it's the kid doesn't know it, but it's dealing with issues that mom and dad, or mom specifically, might be dealing with as she's raising it's assuming mom's like a stay-at-home mom or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're watching the show and she's like, oh, I really needed to hear this.
Well, actually, we were talking about it with my sister-in-law down in Anaheim, because her family, the only reason why I know that a Bluey attraction is coming, it's actually, for those, you're going to be one of the, Disney might come after me over the fact that I know this information. I had heard it from an inside source who's very much inside. We know people that have worked at Disneyland for 40 years, 30 years, 35 years, and they are very much, they're very much behind the scenes. They went and worked they got the one in Shanghai started. They moved to Shanghai for a year. They have been crucial to Disney parks over the past 20 years at least. But he had mentioned about this coming, but my sister-in-law had never heard of it, and she was like, I'd never heard about Bluey really much. And we're like, oh, you should watch it. It's, we kind of talked about it for a little bit, and we're like, yeah. And Audrey was like, yeah, my mom's been watching it. And she's like, oh, that's probably good. And I was like, oh. So if you know the history behind that, there you go. If you don't, then you can try and read between the lines, whatever. But it was pretty funny. I almost spat out my juice, kind of like Pat's dad. Did I just say hooray? Yeah. So
beer number 2. And then
beer number 2, we are
another
drinking
topic. We might be, we're in an hour 17. We might be able to get. There's something I might get to as well.
We are drinking the Big Weekend.
I've not had this one before. I was a little surprised.
We haven't had it on the show.
We've not.
This is the double IPA from Coronado Brewing Company. It's an 8.8, which isn't bad for a double. It's juicy. It's tropical. It's good.
It's bitter.
Yeah, it's bitter. It's got a thick mouthfeel. I don't know. I don't know what happened to Coronado. They might have gotten bought or something, but Coronado 7 years ago is not the same as it is now. I still trust them. I still like their beers that come out. It's just they're not as great as I felt like they were a couple years ago. Before, I'd have no problem sitting there and saying Coronado Brewing Company was my favorite brewery. The Islander IPA was fantastic. I wish that they would bring it back, but it's not there anymore. They kind of changed things up. But that being said, when I went this last go around, I was trying some of their newer stuff.
Well, I take that back. We have had it before.
Oh, okay.
I was using the wrong search on my Google Doc.
I did have it when I went to Coronado this last go around and I was trying things. I was like, oh, wow, these were now coming back where I was like, oh, this is really, really good.
Yeah, I think you brought it back.
Yeah, I brought a couple back. And
you brought it back with the Jackrabbit Brewing Company Hank the Tank West Coast IPA.
Yeah, so I like Coronado a lot. I don't think that the Big Weekend is one of their best, but I do enjoy it. I've gotten it a few times. They sell it at Save Mart pretty regularly.
That's where I got this. I got this in the Save Mart in Kingsburg.
Oh, nice. And June 18th that's pretty good for Save Mart.
Yeah, I was impressed by how fresh it was. That's about as fresh as it can get. So.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. Over by Rosie's. It's a 6-pack. It was a 6-pack for the same price as a 4-pack from other places.
I know.
I could not remember for the life of me if we'd had it before. So
that's actually one of the things that I enjoy about. That's why I started switching over to Pizza Port. It's a 6-pack over a 4-pack, and the 6-pack is actually cheaper than the 4-pack wherever else that you're buying it from. So and Pizza Port is really good beer. So,
all right, you want to do? You had a topic?
I did have a topic. I don't know. It might be a loaded topic, depending on how we feel about it.
Is there any other kind for the show? It seems like it's all we do.
That's right. They're all.
That's why we only have a certain.
We just spoke an hour on a kids'
we get
TV
throttled
show.
all the time for anti-Semitism and.
Oh, I don't feel like. Well, maybe it's that loaded.
Racism or whatever else gets misconstrued.
All right. Well. No, I mean, I'm ready. I was like, I'm just trying to think of. I don't want to insult anybody, but Well, actually, I feel like we should just kind of flesh this out. I feel like we should work through it and maybe kind of get to where we're at.
We're in a workshop live. Let's do it. That's how we're supposed to do. This is a conversation at the end of the bar.
All right, forward missions versus, or even missions 100 miles away versus communal missions.
Oh, that's a great question.
So for those of you that may not really understand what I'm talking about, I'm going to put it within the context that I know it as. And I think that this will kind of help drive conversation because maybe you'll know something similar or you'll get something from it. Now, I'm going to currently talk about, there are two ways of, well, there's lots of ways that you can help with missions, but it's going to have to get broken down into several ways. Like it's not like I can, so be patient. Let me work through some of it. And then if you feel like I've forgotten stuff, Tim, you can definitely chime in and kind of get from there. So in the context of where we live, we have as much as every other town in the United States currently has, you have lots of different problems that a need can be filled. A variety of different problems where a need has arisen. And so I don't feel like I need to explain that too much. Do you feel like
I think the average American today, unless you're like a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat or a dyed-in-the-wool natural view conservative, I think both sides of the political spectrum can pick like 5 things that they think are profoundly broken in the country that we need to focus on before we focus. So if you're progressive, it's the inner city, it's race relations, it's police violence, whatever. It's our mistreatment of immigrants. On the other side, we have too many immigrants. I think both sides would say broken infrastructure, even though we've been talking about fixing infrastructure forever. So yeah, I could see. I think your average American right now is very disgruntled with the government and the parties, and so very much can be like, yeah, we have problems at home. I think 20% of the country is like, yeah, let's go fix other people's shit. And unfortunately, those 20% are very loud and they're pretty much running the government. So I'm comfortable saying that.
Well, but even like I'm talking about just from a personal and even like a Christ-centered perspective where, okay, we can all recognize that if you don't have homelessness in your community, please let me know where you live because that'd be wild.
Okay.
You're not, I was like, you have infrastructural issues within your city. You might have, I was like, if you're dealing with racial or whatever, maybe you don't have support for children for after school programs or whatever. There's a variety of different needs that can be met within a city.
Are we talking about meeting material needs or spiritual needs and or both?
Both is what I'm talking about.
Okay. I just want to define. Because I'm sorry, if you're living in Scarsdale, New York, you probably don't think you have any problems, and you do. Because most of everybody's on some kind of fucking drug because they're covering up some sort of hurt rather than dealing with it.
It's Scottsdale, Arizona, too.
Scottsdale, Arizona, Beverly Hills, Glendale, California. I mean, I'm rattling off places that are you'd call upper middle class rich, which
Sure.
don't have necessarily a homeless problem or those kind of more outward focusing things. But I'm sure the overdose rate is shockingly high or the suicide rate is crazy. Okay, so continue.
So I don't feel like I need to necessarily, I feel like that's plenty to be able to go into where it's like, all right, we can all acknowledge that we have problems domestically and in your community. Every single person that's listening to this can be able to sit there and say, there are problems that are going on in my community that people of the faith can definitely fix, or not necessarily fix, but work towards establishing a better way, helping change the society that's around you. Now, what I'm going to be talking about for this conversation is I'm not talking about missionaries, people that live long-term in places outside of the United States. When I'm talking about foreign missions, I'm not talking about We talked about it on the show before. I met somebody at Hume Lake a couple of years ago who's going to be living the rest of his life in Papua New Guinea, trying to translate, trying to help them, trying to write a Bible for them and help bring the gospel to them, that kind of stuff. That's not who I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, well, and I will kind of be talking about both or them, but the people in Africa that are doing X, Y, and Z. I'm not even necessarily talking about. Tim is a part of a foreign missions. Actually, he just walked away because I was like, he better be able to talk about this than me. But he's a part of an organization called When I Grow Up that is based in Kenya.
Kenya, Guatemala.
Kenya, Guatemala, and Haiti, and he'll come in and kind of talk about that kind of stuff. And Tim has gone over there and he's helped and check things out. But that's not exactly what I'm talking about here. Those are people that are involved in the organization that are trying to help. And Tim's actually pretty adamant that he's like, yeah, we're not trying to be the white savior complex, which if you don't know what that is, he'll kind of come over here and explain that a little bit more, where he's like, this is how When I Grow Up is structured. He's like, we're pretty hands off actually. So
Yeah, so if you are interested in foreign missions, which I think is what most Christians are, and we'll get into we'll get into the meaty part of that, but let's just for now not put a stigma on it. I think the average evangelical church's idea is we're going to go and we're going to build a well or we're going to build some houses, and we have, friend of the show Nolan.
Well, we're gonna get to that in a minute.
We have friends, and I on the surface, what they're doing is not bad.
No, and I don't.
And they're
wanna say
doing
that
it a
it's
little
bad.
bit different than other groups do. But traditionally, a lot of evangelical Protestant missions has been pretty much similar, in a lot of ways, similar to the Catholic Church. Of we're just going to come in here, and we're going to tell you what's what, and we're here to save you. We're here to save the noble savage from themselves. And so you have white people come in, and at worst, they come in and they do the work of what able-bodied local people can do. So you're taking away people who can work, which work in and of itself is noble, and I think males in particular, but also females, if it's like muscular work, I think brings a sense of purpose and endorphins that make men feel better and make them better people to be around. And so you come in there and just do the work because you're trying to slap a well together in 3 days in order to give people water. You're solving one problem, but creating another. So if you want to read like a big picture, very good description of this, there's a book called When Giving Hurts. And it's not just Christian. It's like a general, American charity in general has had this problem. Western charity in general has had this problem, where we try to go in and we're going to build the road for you. Anyway, we don't do it as partners. We do it as lords. And so what we do, what When I Grow Up does, is partner with indigenous, and I mean that literally, they are on the ground. In Kenya is our main sponsored group. It's a private school started in one of the world's largest slums that educates, feeds, provides social resources, including medicine, etc., and microloans from kids from basically K through junior high, and then there's also a boarding school for the high school kids who go on to that. And in Kenya, you don't necessarily have to have a high school degree, more than a high school degree, but it was founded and run by people who grew up in the slum. So it is 100%
Tim's
people
lying.
who,
It's actually, he's funding the gentrification project of the slums of Kenya.
And it's really cool when you go there because the slum is run by gangs, basically like mafias. They're very much like what you think of in the States. They're not people to be trifled with. They will kill you. The gangs, basically the government stays out of this 2 million person slum and lets the gangs run them. And the gangs run everything from the sanitation to the electricity and everything. And you you got to play ball.
Yeah, and,
And every time I've been there to Kenya, I've been there and visited the school, the gang leaders come out, and it's 100%, it's not show. It's 100% a total act of respect to show these people like me who've come there to see the school, to show this school we respect the people who run it. They are off limits. They are our crown jewel. We love what they're doing. And I do what I have to do to survive, and people have to deal with it, but these people are actually doing a great thing here. So that's what so we have a school in Haiti that does the same thing, and then a school in Guatemala. So everything is, we provide funding, and then we provide like leadership training or guidance when necessary. But we try to completely stay out of it. We try to not give them any guidance on growth or not growing or anything. It's their show to run.
They know what they need. They're the ones.
They know what they need, and they don't need like Harvard Business School guy coming in saying, you know what you need is you need to improve your ROI and blah, blah. No, just do what you do. And a lot of times that's them pushing us actually more than us pushing them, where they come in like, we want to do this. I'm like, whoa, I don't know that we have the funding for that right away, but let's try to work towards that. So it works out. But that book, When Giving Hurts, and some other books and some documentaries that have been done both inside Christianity and in secular circles have, in the last 25 years, has led to a very good rethinking on how charity is supposed to be done. And I'd say we're still woefully bad at it. But if you are looking at joining something, I would say read that book and then look for a model that does that, because what you want is, you want to be working with something that's partnering with somebody, not someone who's coming in to save someone. And that is focused on the overseas. But I would say, as we continue this conversation, I would say keep that in mind too, as we talk about domestically what our church can do in our own communities. Is are we saving people, or are we trying to partner with people and lift them up? Yeah.
And so that gets to when I talk about foreign ministry. So I think that I'm not talking about this ministry that Tim is a part of, where again, and I think he outlined it perfectly. And so he talks about when he went or whatever. And when he's there, he's just like, hey, and I'm sure when he was there, he's like, hey, do you guys need anything or whatever? But really, it was just kind of like, hey, let's go check this place out. You know, this is the place that we're supporting and doing all that kind of stuff for. And so that's not what we're talking about. It is in our area where we currently live, it is not uncommon for people to take missions trips down to Mexico and assist in some way or in some capacity in Mexico. Now, there's the one that's closest to home for us, as far as that we know about, and that pretty much if anybody's talking about going to Mexico for a missions trip around our area, they're talking about this. What is the name of the community?
Oh boy, I can't remember.
It's not like Ojos de Agua or something, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Something, I don't know. Anyways, there's a community that's I don't know, where is it at? Have you been? Or
it's Baja. It's south of Tijuana by like an hour or something like that.
Yeah, so
I've
they
not
go.
Been. Denise has been. Everybody else in my family's been, but not me.
There's a huge group that goes, and during spring break every year, they bring teenagers. They all go down there. They build houses. They do all that, and they help keep growing this community that's out there. And a couple people go during Thanksgiving break. They take like a guys trip where it's like, all right, these contractors or these guys from a church, it's a guys group. They're like, all right, we're going to go down there. We're going to do this. And another group, and some of them spend, a couple weeks there. It all just kind of depends. There's a couple of different trips that happen a year. But the one with the teenagers happens in spring break, and then there's a couple other trips that happen with guys groups from different churches in the next weeks to come. Basically, they go down there and they build a building Am I wrong about that? Or
Yeah, they usually try to build 1 to 3 houses a week over a weekend, or mostly finish them. So whatever's left, the locals can finish on their own or something like that. That's, I think, the way it goes.
yeah, and so that's pretty popular around here, and that has become the main missions work in our area. As far as partnering goes, it was originally the whole thing was they were going to create a community down there. So there was nothing there. And they were like, all right, we're gonna go and kind of do the what you kind of talked about, where it's like, all right, we're gonna go and establish our presence in the area.
Yeah, we're going to build a mission.
Yeah, and so and that's what the community is that it's a mission. The pastor that's there is doing great work or whatever. He's been there the entire time. You know, he's working with the people in that community. He is Mexican. His wife is Mexican, right? He's Mexican, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And so like it's
Well, and just to be clear, this is in Mexico and it's in Baja. But my understanding is these people are very like Native American Mexican. So they're kind of, even in Mexico, they're kind of the downtrodden people. They're like looked down upon because they're very like heavily Native American type Mexican. So
yeah. And so there's this community that's down there. And I have gotten into several conversations with my friends that I don't think that it's worth my effort anymore. It's not worth it to have a conversation with them about it. And I know that probably Tim is upset about that. He's like, well, there's nothing that's not worth a...
No, that's not true. Sometimes it's just...
Well, yeah, it's just like, okay, we're beating a dead horse here. I'm greatly outnumbered, and it's just like, all right, this isn't worth having a conversation about for this. But it's worth on the show, at least having one-on-one, and you can tell me I'm wrong or anything like that. I don't think that you are going to tell me I'm wrong. And I don't have any negative... I don't think that them going down there and doing foreign ministries that way, I don't think that that's necessarily... I don't think that that act is wrong. Well, I don't know how to kind of describe that. I think that it's wrong in some ways, but I don't think it's wrong as far as like a moral standpoint. Like, no, it's not wrong to put a roof over somebody's head down in Mexico. And to one of the arguments that I always get for when I bring these conversations up is because I'm like, well, what about what you can do here? Well, I can't build that here for the homeless people here. I have to have zoning permits or whatever, yada, yada. But there, I can just go down there and I can throw up a shack and nobody like asks a question or whatever. But is that a reason? I don't know. Like, that concept, your dollar technically goes further there, I guess, to where you're like, okay, $100 here doesn't do the same thing, but I can go down with my electrician buddy and he can come down here and he can do stuff for a week and then voila. And he can get everything ready to go for them and they're good to go. And they all feel great and they all do good and they leave. And I haven't heard anything about, success rates. There's nobody rioting there or anything that are like, and I'm sure the people there are super grateful. But I will make the argument that, again, what about here? And I know that they're like, well, we're all middle class white Americans. And so we all don't necessarily need that help, but I can go and help somebody that's only, 10 hours south of me. And it's like, okay, I guess that's true. But again, Jesus says that people are going to be called to different areas or whatever. But 1 week a year to go build a house, but yet you could be fighting and helping here. I don't know. Do you agree or disagree that the people that as far as I have seen, that go and are a part of that mission regularly, for the most part, I'm not going to say all, but for the most part, aren't necessarily actively involved here, which is not a problem. I'm not saying that that's... I mean, missions is a dicey subject, but again, this is our community. I believe in giving back to the community that you are a part of It's the same thing as like dealing with stuff outside of our world of influence, where it's like, okay, yes, the United States can go and do X, Y, and Z on the foreign scale that we want to do, but really, shouldn't we be focused on our domestic issues? Shouldn't we be focused on our every dollar counts when it comes to tackling homelessness in our society, when it comes to tackling mental illness, when it comes to, when it comes to our kids, when it comes to whatever? Yeah, it's easy to go over there and throw a Band-Aid on, this community over here, and you can feel good about yourself. But at the end of the day, is that about them or is it about you?
I think the problem is in the States, we have a homeless problem, but the homeless problem is not a housing. Sorry, Gavin Newsom. It's not a housing problem.
I don't
we
think
have
it's
a
housing problem.
Okay. Let me be very clear here. We have a homeless problem. Gavin Newsom and the California state legislature, we don't have a homeless problem because we have a housing problem. That is not to say we don't have a housing problem in California.
They're just not correlated.
We don't build enough houses. We don't build enough multi-family houses specifically because you can make a lot more money from building a single family dwelling than a multi-family dwelling. But those two things aren't the same. We have a homeless problem because we have a profoundly broken culture that no one wants to talk about. I mean, it's talked about. We talk about on the show. You can find it on some, I think, thoughtful right-wing, mostly podcasts. I don't think you can in the left wing. I mean, the left wing's focused more on racial things, which aren't to be ignored either. But I mean, we have a profound problem. We have an exceptionally high suicide rate. Most of those committing suicide are vets and first responders. The majority of them are those things. That's a problem. No one's talking about it. Not even in the community. You run into someone who's a first responder and or a vet and they know about it. You have one of the most profound, mind-blowing conversations you've ever had in your life, but it's not talked about because why would it be? Because that's where tough guys are, and tough guys don't talk about the problems, blah, 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 blah. We have a major problem. We also are profoundly, yes, we like our beer on the show. We are profoundly doped up more than any other fucking country in the world. That is a problem. Why are we doped up? We aren't doped up just because we have a lot of money and it's cheap to get cocaine and all this other stuff. We have it because we're masking a lot of shit going on in homes and in childhoods, both poor, middle class, and rich. We are a fucking broken country, which is one of the reasons why I don't like us going around telling other countries how to run their shit. We are broken.
Yeah.
We have broken the family profoundly. I don't think we've really ever been good at family mainly because it is a brutal thing to conquer a continent in 100 years. That takes a lot of violence, and that violence breeds brokenness, and that brokenness gets covered up by just trying to fucking live on a prairie where nature's bad enough, and then I got white people who want to kill me and red people who want to kill me and whoever else. That breeds a culture of brokenness that we've never wanted to talk about. It's still with us today.
Yeah.
And now we have too much money and too much time on our hands on top of broken families. We're broken.
Yeah.
That is hard to fix. What's easy to fix is go down and build people who don't have a house. That's not to say I think so. I don't have a problem with people going down. My understanding is our friend group who does it, it's mostly people cobbling together their money. There might be some church money, but it's a lot of people cobbling their money together. I think it's great. Again, as long as you're partnering with them and you're working with them, it's not you going down and build the house. And that's not my understanding. Is I think the locals help out. But we really need to get serious about what's going on. But we're not. Sorry, I'm going back to the same broken record that we always go on, which is church is broken. And we've talked about church being broken from Church Inc. standpoint. But I'm going to say church is broken because we just want to do the same old easy fucking Bible study that someone's going to get some, ladies and dudes get stuff out of Bible studies. If you and I were to start a church tomorrow, I would be adamant that at least 2 people on that staff would have a degree in they would be psychologists. They would be certified therapists. Churches should just be, you want to help fix America? Turn your church into a fucking therapy session. But no one wants to have this. I mean, it's not talked about. Look, I was with a friend of mine. I talked about how great it was to meet my high school friend. He's a MacArthurite. I can still tell he's got this idea in his head that if you're sinning, it's your problem. Everyone's got a choice. And yes, ultimately everyone has a choice. But that is a lazy ass way to look at things. Most people in the world make really bad decisions because they were put in shitty decisions, oftentimes from what family they grew up in. And yes, they make bad decisions from there. But if all you ever do is tell them, you know what, you're a big boy and you could have made a good choice, but Jesus was here to save you, they're not going to accept that. They're going to think, well, he won't accept me because what I did, there's no way he can, because I made that choice. I made that choice to do that thing.
You should have
But if
impeccable
you tell that person, like,
self-discipline at
I
14
understand you grew up in a family where your father beat you and your mother wouldn't talk to you, whatever your shit's going through, and I understand why you did this. You still fucked up. You still sinned. You're still a sinner. And the only way to be saved is to turn that over to Jesus and let him heal you. And then in the process of being in friendship and talking with others who've been in that same thing and finding out how the grace of Jesus Christ helped them.
Yeah,
you're going to find that.
The sins of the Father do equate to sins of the Son. Like,
yes, but we still, a profound part of the church has this thing of, you made a bad choice and you're going to, it's like you're in freaking first grade. Oh, you made bad choices, so I'm going to send you to the office or put you in the corner. It's not how you deal with most people. There are certainly, look, at any given time, I think Jordan Peterson has said it. I'm not like a huge Jordan Peterson fan, but on this kind of stuff, there is somewhere between 2 and 4% of society, which is psychopath, sociopath, and that can fluctuate depending on culture changes, social changes. That's still a profound number of people who might be confused as being a sociopath, and they're that way because they lived a profoundly traumatic life, or they had a profoundly traumatic thing happen. They lived a perfectly leave it to beaver life, and they went off and fought for their country and had their best friend get blown up in front of them and then come home, and the military said, go back to work. I'm just going to stick on this real quick because I think this is important just to get in the mind of why people behave the way they do. I've seen several ex-Delta Force guys being interviewed, and they've all talked about how, the military doesn't give them a lot of any help when they cycle out. But 2 guys in particular in Delta had a mentor, a guy who I think was one of the founders of Delta, but he's been in there forever. He's like a legend. And he essentially told these guys, look, when you leave, you have to adapt to the world. You can't make the world adapt to you. Your world does not exist in the real world. And they didn't really know what he meant. And one guy in particular, he was one of the Delta guys in the Black Hawk Down story. And he had a profound time when he retired. Well, he didn't retire, but when he cycled out. And he said, I don't know why my wife didn't leave me. She should have left me. And he finally got to see a therapist, and because he was just raging all the time. And it was PTSD. And he was like, well, I don't understand why this is PTSD. And she sat him down and said, look.
Yeah, it's not you waking up in the middle of the night screaming at.
No, he's like he would say, why am I raging? My kid puts the dish in the sink for the 20th time when I've told them put it in the fucking dishwasher. And the therapist said, because you spent 20 years in the military, 15 of those in the most elite unit in the world, and every time you drilled, you were told if you don't do it exactly right, someone dies. Your brain doesn't turn off when you go home. So when your kid doesn't put the dish in the dishwasher but puts it in the sink, your military brain still says someone is going to die in this house because you did it wrong.
Yeah.
And it takes time and therapy to deal with all the shit you saw and unwinding that. We don't have to live. Yes, still get up at 5 a.m, do your 5-minute run, fold the clothes how the army taught you to do, but all these other things don't have to be done. That is your problem. Don't make your problem their problem.
Right. Well, and that's also something like what you said earlier, where it's like, he's sitting there and he's like, how is that PTSD? We need to be honest about how things manifest themselves. It's not the way that the movies have been portraying it to
Correct.
you. You don't just get to sit there and be like, oh yeah, this is exactly how society's well, if they're not showing these signs, well then they're not experiencing whatever. Just because they're not depressed when they come and hang out with you doesn't mean that they're not fucking depressed. Like,
yeah, the other guy that I saw was the guy who killed bin Laden, O'Neill. And he said that it took 7 years before his PTSD kicked in, and it wasn't rage. He started seeing like he started having profound. He was like, I never really felt guilty about who I killed. Like, I never had a bad shot. He never saw that much combat in the Navy SEALs, even though he's in the SEALs. But he was having these like thoughts of like, it was just, once it kicked in, it was like, oh, this is what PTSD is. And so it's different and he actually went through Sign Asylum or whatever it's called, therapy. And he said in the middle of that, he saw demons. And the guy who was interviewing said, like, theoretical? He was like, no, they were black ghouls with yellow eyes and gnarly teeth. And it wasn't something like my mind, like they exist. And he was like, what demons were they? He was like, I don't know. I didn't get that far. I don't know if they were people I killed or people chasing me because I killed people, but I can tell you they exist. And I was like, woof, that's a whole other conversation. But all that to say, I don't have a problem with the physical needs of rebuilding Detroit or building Tijuana. But I'm with you where, if we're going to do this, let's start being more honest about what needs to be done at home. And unfortunately, like I said, a lot of that is spiritual. I think it is fair to be like, well, it's fair on some level to be like, okay, well, building here is more difficult. Okay, but I mean, Habitat for Humanity's been doing it for 50 years, so you can find a way.
well, like, okay, so like so I get it. Our country is Sioux Central or whatever. But I mean, like, okay, so an electrician gives up a week of his life and goes down to Tijuana and puts together, and he's like, all right, I can do the electrical here and, get it all set up and ready to go. Okay, how often has that person given up a week of their pay and just gone and helped fix issues electrically in the United States?
Yeah,
I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Or like in their community that they live in. Like,
well, again, I don't know how that license works. Maybe they're not allowed to do it without getting paid, but
you're definitely allowed to go help a friend and go,
well, look, I would say the least spiritual person you and I know, I won't mention his name, but it's a gentleman who's 20 years older than you, exactly 10 older than me. He's the least spiritual person I know. He rarely talks about his faith in a personal way. That guy has spent more time moving widows and orphans and people who need help, fixing things, patching up houses, getting moved than I can imagine.
Oh, 100%.
And I think where you're going, that to me, that's as much, if not more, the gospel than sitting around leading a Bible study with three upper middle class teacher couples on a Wednesday night.
Yeah, he sees a need.
Where we're going through Acts for the 400th time.
He just sees a need and he fills it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I feel, I don't know. I feel like there are lots of people in this country and lots of people in this town that C needs and just let them walk on by. But they're just like, oh, I'm gonna go to Mexico and get my fix. Like it's almost kind of like it's their relief drug where they're like, well, if I go there and I fix this problem, and like, again, this is where I was kind of talking about where it's like, is it for them or is it for you?
I don't have a problem
And
with
I'm sure it's for them, and I get, but you kind of talked about it earlier where it's kind of like this, it's this endorphin rush where it's this, yeah, we get to go be men, we get to go do this fix it thing, and then I get to go back. And is it not the same thing as is this the adult version of winter camp or summer camp from growing up, where it's like you get to go over there, you get to have this god high, and then come down and then go back to your normal life and ignore all the shit that's going on around you and ignore all the problems that are happening right now.
I'm not going to speak to Mexico because I haven't been there.
I'm not even talking about Mexico. I'm talking about the people.
No, I'm just saying, like,
no, but what
I
I'm
don't
saying
know.
is,
I don't know what kind of reaction one gets when one goes down. I'll speak to how
I don't know the high that they get from it, but I know that they come back and
speak,
and nothing changes.
Well, that's the hard part. I mean, I've been to Kenya 3 times, and every time I've been down there, and I say it, and I'm 100% mean it, the most impressive people I've ever met in my entire life are the 3 guys, the one in particular who started that school, and the staff. To be running a school that provides 2 meals a day in abject poverty that one might find in Mexico. I mean, people in this area, there are families of 4 to 6 living in a C train that has been cut up into 3 little apartments. So you're cramming 6 people into a third of a C train. That's the kind of living we're talking about, with no sewage. And they come to school. Those kids are happy. I'll tell you that. You go to that school and you find out, like, happiness as
you see pure joy.
There is nothing about what we have that provides happiness. We can be happy. The same 6-year-olds can be happy.
Provides
just as
happiness
here at the States. I'm not saying our 6-year-olds aren't happy compared to the 6-year-olds there. I'm just saying, like, they're not happy because of the shit they have or mom and dad provided them. I think they are happy because they're in a loving environment, at least at that school. And I think the parents that send them to that school do their best on living on $2 a day to provide a loving household at home. And I think that's the same way here. You find a happy kid, he's probably at least the kid thinks he lives in a happy household. Find a kid who's not, it's probably because it's shit at home.
That's why I didn't know I was homeless until I was much older.
Yeah.
One thing that never happened when I was growing up was my parents always loved me. And yeah, things were really hard for us monetarily growing up. And like, some people are like, oh yeah, it was hard for you. You didn't get to, go to the Bahamas every year. But for us as a family, it was really difficult to where I was homeless, but we were able to make it through that. But I didn't really understand what it was at the time. And I didn't ever feel like school needed to be my escape or whatever. I didn't ever feel like I needed to escape somewhere because I had loving parents at home. And so I never had a problem going home or anything like that. And I think it's one of the reasons why my ACE score isn't as high as it could be. So for those of you that don't know what an ACE score is, you can actually go and take it if you want. There's an ACE test that is given to kids, or not necessarily given to kids, but if you have experienced multiple traumatic events in your life, it therefore kind of predicts the rest of your life. And you're like, well, that's kind of messed up. And it's like, it's not like an act of prediction, but like kids that have an ACE score of 5 or higher have a likelihood of it's like 600% more likely to become an alcoholic than those that have a 5 or below. Those that have an ACE score of a 5 or higher have and at each point that you get on there is a traumatic incident that's happened in your life. So I've taken the ACE test and I actually am at a 7, but it's one of the reasons why it probably doesn't affect me as much is, again, because of a loving, nourishing family environment. And also, I do believe it is my spiritual connection with God that also helps keep me grounded, that was a priority for my parents growing up, that was something that was going to happen. So yeah, if you want to take the ACE test, you're more than welcome to do that. I was like, you can just Google search it and you can take it and just be like, I wonder what my child trauma, and it'll just ask you questions like, were your parents divorced? Did you ever have like X, Y, and Z happen while you were growing up or whatever? And you can find out what your ACE score is, and then you can see where you lie and what kind of risks things you're like. Again, it goes up exponentially for each point that you get for how rough your life is going to be. How much more likely are you to commit suicide? How much more likely are you to become an alcoholic or a drug abuser? How much more likely are you to get divorced? How much more likely are you to get involved in a domestic violence dispute? That kind of stuff. And it's because you've experienced those traumatic incidences. So, but again, my thought with all of that is, and I get it, but that's my question is the missions trip now is that the Hume Lake? Is that the summer camp, the winter camp where you go? And for those of you that have never participated in that because you've not been a part of the faith and you don't really understand what that concept means, as a youth pastor, as somebody who participated in it, it's kind of this moment where everybody goes and everybody gets a bad rap for being these kind of fake Christians, so to speak, because you go, and I'm not saying that they're fake, and that I would never make that accusation about anybody in our faith. Remember, I'm a universalist, so nobody can be a fake Christian. But the concept of they go, they get their fix, they're all hyped up on that moment, and then they come back, and then what has changed? And it's so much harder when you come back. I'm not denying that at all.
No, I think I have a suggestion of where we need to get there, but you finish your thought.
And so I'm not saying that that's, and again, I don't take away from like when middle schoolers or high schoolers go up to Hume Lake in the same way. I don't want to take away from what's happening in Mexico or what's happening if you take a group down to Guatemala or you take a group down to fucking, the Philippines or whatever. I don't care where you go outside of the United States. And actually, I don't care if it's outside of your community, because I've been on mission trips where we go to St. Louis or we go to Santa Fe, New Mexico, or we go to wherever. And it's like, but actually those missions were strategically talked about where it's like, okay, how do you impact the environment that you live in? Where this is how you can help. So MFuge was designed with the idea of people want to go do foreign ministries elsewhere. Let me show you how you could do it domestically, how you can partner with the city and partner with the people. So it's like, so what we did for our ministry when we just worked with the Boys and Girls Club of our city and we put on a sports camp for kids. That's what I was a part of. But you could be a part of the construction group where it's like, okay, we're going to go and we're going to mow people's lawns that don't have the ability. We're going to go and we're going to, and 100% every single person that is a part of that Mexico mission trip can do, if they want to go do that physical labor shit, they can definitely go find somebody that has a fucked up lawn and they can go mow it, edge it, do the whole thing and just spend a Saturday doing that. And that helps people, and those people, and you get to have a genuine conversation with them about it, or you don't even get to have a conversation. You get to just be a good neighbor to somebody that's in your community. And it doesn't have to be that you got to drive 8 miles down or 8 hours down and do something, And I'm not saying that, again, it's not saying that what they're doing is wrong. It's just more of like, you can also do that stuff here. It exists without you having to worry about X, Y, and Z. And I don't know. It's the same way as with the Hume Lake thing. You can experience God here. You don't have to go up on the mountain, go to camp and experience God. It's kind of like with Moses, or not Moses, kind of with Elijah and God. He runs away and he goes to Mount Zion and he tries to, find God, and God's like, bro, I'm not doing this anymore. I was like, you're coming looking for me over here. I've already moved past this shit, man. Like we're past this. I was like, you got to go out there. What is this?
It's hazy.
I was like, I just smelt fruit like the second.
It's very fruity.
The second I popped this open, I was like,
A lot of
wow.
pineapple. A lot of pineapple.
So I don't know. You have a thought. I was like, go for it.
Well, I will. Again, in defense of people.
Well, I think their hearts aren't in good places.
No, I know.
Well, I'm just saying, if friend of the show Nolan was here, he'd probably be greatly offended at some of the things that I'm saying. I'm like,
Well,
I'm not coming at. I mean, you may feel convicted that I'm coming after you. I'm just saying that in the wholness of
Well,
it. And
I know-
actually, one of the people.
I know what you do. You don't do shit either. So I know you're talking about yourself.
That's
So.
right. I fucking suck at this shit. But my thing is about, what are you talking about? I do this podcast. One of the people from the group gets one of the biggest raps, and that's because he's one of the founders of the group. Yeah, he's not the greatest socially human being that you've ever met in your life, and I'm not gonna say his name. I was like, people who are listening to this who know who this person is are gonna be like, oh yeah. But I gotta give it to that guy. Like, I no matter how much people want to like blah blah blah, he puffs himself up, he does whatever, yada yada yada. I was like, the guy was adamant about doing homeless ministry every single week in his community.
Yeah.
He started the homeless ministry that Eric is a part of.
Yeah.
He's a realtor, and all of his money, well, actually he's a teacher, but he does realting on the side, and all of the money that he makes off of it, he gives back to that Mexico mission ministry. So, and that's a shit ton of your time to just be like, all right, I'm going to take whatever money I get and I'm just going to go from there. And that's a shit ton of money. And there's lots of, and it's kind of pissed some of the realtors off in this area because they're just like, oh, this guy gives all of his money away. And so he's not actually trying to like, you know.
No, I dislike this person because he makes me feel inferior on that level. The other issue with him is just his theology is bad.
Yeah, his theology is bad, and
although I've been told that that's softened, but no, I'll admit there's a level of sinful inferiority complex of like, man, I wish you can be really hard to talk to, and man, your theology I don't agree with. I'm not gonna say it's wrong. I don't agree with it, but damn if you don't do. And I don't, so I have to watch that in myself and be like, is this just because you're jealous? Because you're not getting off your fat ass and doing stuff? So, to which I would say, I think a lot of the doing, let's keep it at the doing. I think it's like a muscle.
Yeah, you got to work out. The
more you do, the more easier it's just to be like seeing where there's an issue. My pushback would be like, oh, someone needs to go get their lawn. America also has a lot of assholes, and so a lot of people, I think where we need to be, again, I think church needs to be more, church in a lot of ways needs to look to be like the bulletin board for the neighborhood than the inward focused scheduler for the people who are part of the club. And it needs to be like, you're going to go around and you're going to knock doors in the 1 mile square block over the next 3 weeks and find out how many people are shut-ins and need meals, or just introduce yourself and say, hey, I'm from this so-and-so church. I'm from neighborhood church. We're in a upper middle class neighborhood, so it's a little different, but like at our old church, very mixed, middle class, lower class, middle class, upper middle, like it was a mix. Go around, knock doors and just say like, I'm from so-and-so. Here's our phone number. Here's our email. Come down, but if you ever need anything, you need a meal, whatever, please reach out to us. And then get people on the list of, I need a moving crew, I need a lawn crew, whatever. Again, you do that in a good Celebrate Recovery group that meets twice a week for people who are fucking broken. You're doing a lot more than what we're doing on Sundays.
Yeah. Well, and here's also the other thing where it's like, I don't mind if it's monetary even, you know what I'm saying? Like, I get that some people are like, I mean, you made a joke about like, you're like, well, I know you're not doing shit or whatever. And I'm like, that's true. I'm not.
Oh, it was
No, I know. Well, and I'm not sitting here and defending myself of of that statement. But also, you do need to know this about me. I'm not. I think Tim's put it where it's like I'm not a dummy around the house or whatever. Where it's like I know how to fix things, I know how to do stuff. But there's also like I was like I have a lawn guy. Like like I don't want to do my lawn. Like,
I don't do my own lawn.
I was like,
either, and
I did
you've
my
seen
lawn.
My lawn's like 6 by 20 feet, maybe.
I did my lawn for 4 years. And then when we had enough money and I was like, and what happened was my lawn got out of hand and I was like, can we get a lawn guy out here and just kind of like fix it and get it back into control for us? And he came out and he fixed all of it. And I was like, okay, let's see if we can add him to the budget. And because the thing is like, I used to be gone a lot. Like now I'm home like every weekend.
Yeah, but now you have kids.
Yeah, but I used to be gone all the time, or even like water polo practice or water polo season. Like I'd get home on the weekends and I was like, I don't want to do my lawn. And
That's the things I pay for. It's like I'm paying for someone to do that so I can go make money somewhere else.
Yeah, and so
you're
it's like,
doing it to sit around and play video games. Then yeah, probably just get off your ass and do your own lawn for the hour,
or even just recoup from the fucking week. And
I could fix my own plumbing, but it would take me 3 weeks instead of 2 hours.
Yeah, and mowing the lawn is actually something where I'm like, I actually enjoy doing it. Like, I don't know if there's any guy out there that is just like, a man pushing a lawnmower just sucks. Like, I feel like most people are like, actually, I enjoy this. I like the smell of the fresh cut grass. You're usually out there in the morning. It's not like you're like, oh, this is kind of nice. You know, like I don't know any guy that I've met that's just like, man, I fucking hate this. Maybe when you're trying to start the mower up and your mower sucks or whatever. But other than that, it's like, okay. And so you go and you push it around and it's not that big of a deal. And it really actually doesn't take that long or anything like that. But I mean, having the yard guy has been really nice and my lawn looks immaculate and I love the way that it looks. And I would cry if Josue left me like next week. Like I'd be like, oh man, because I think he makes it look great. He's really somebody who loves his craft. But if I was like somebody that was like, you know, where I was like, hey, where money maybe is another way where you're like, okay, so I'm not maybe good at this, or I couldn't do it as good as somebody else or whatever. Where it's like, hey, Josue, I'm going to pay you $50 if you don't mind running down to, I was like, if you can fit it in your schedule to go over to this person's house and clean it up and make it look nice or something like that, you know, like where you're focused on something that's in your community, something that's around you to where you're able to help out in those ways or something like that. It comes in lots of different ways. You know, it's not just like, oh, I'm a buy. Even then, dude, one of the greatest things that happened last week, I've never had this happen before in my life, but it was awesome. Audrey's boss walked in to my parents and me and her having dinner at Pita Kebab last weekend, and he bought our entire meal.
Oh, that's nice.
It was awesome. And it was just like,
that shows that he appreciates her and she's off work and he still appreciates her. And I mean, that's just
exactly. And imagine doing that for people that you hardly know or people that you meet and you just see them having a nice dinner and you're just like, I'm going to go pay that tab or whatever.
I went to go to get something at a gas station a couple weeks ago. It was a Sunday evening and I saw a human female enter the parking lot of the gas station. And I say human female because I could not for the life of me
discern.
I have no idea how old this female was. The closer I got to her, she looked like she could have been 23. She could have been 50. Her hair was so matted. Her clothes were like something out of a Star Wars movie. Like, you know, you see like someone just like who's a war refugee. It was unbelievable. She went to the Wendy's that was inside this pilot. And nice. I followed her over there.
That Flying J.
The Flying J. There you go. I followed her over there and she went up there to order. The guy could barely hear her. And she had enough money. I was surprised. She had like $2. She ordered whatever she could get for $2. And I startled her. And I was trying to be very aware. Like, I don't want to, like, because here's the thing about homeless females. We like to talk about homeless people. Homeless females, chances are they've been raped an uncountable number of times. Homeless females, it's brutal.
Yeah.
They're getting passed around, and then they usually settle on one guy, and he's protective, but he's still raping her. So if whatever your view of like homeless men is, females is not pleasant at all, and it's not great for the men either. So whatever disdain you have for these people won't pull them up themselves up by their bootstraps. So I said I will buy whatever she's ordering, and then I asked her if she wanted anything else, and yeah, she was not down with that at all. She gave me a look like Predator, and I said, no, I'll buy whatever. That's all. And if you want some water or something to drink, I don't know why I brought that up, but it was.
I mean, but that's the need, right? Like you saw.
I saw a need, and I was like, she's got the $2, and I could sit there and do the algebra in my head, like, well, if I lit her with $2 and she's got $2 later for meth, it's like. It's not the moment, man. The moment is some male who didn't know her, didn't ask for anything, didn't use her for anything, just provided a meal and walked away. Because that's all she could handle. And she could barely handle that. Because everything on the streets is fucking transactional.
Right.
And I think sometimes we lose sight of that in the church where we turn things into transaction. Or you can do this, and then you got to accept Jesus. All right, here I am. I got to get a meal for you, and I got to talk. Then you got to hear me. Then I got to listen to you. I'm right back on the streets. And we're like, well, it's not the same thing. I'm giving you hope and all that. No. It is. In their mind, it's the same thing because they live day to day. What are you going to do for me? You want X? I want Y and Z.
Well,
and that's why sometimes you just show up and you just provide a meal. And in this case, I think it's perfect timing that her boss showed up when she's on leave. It's not while she's working. We're like, you're a great employee. It's just like, it adds even to the story of just like, we miss you.
Yeah.
We hope you have a great time. We look forward to you coming back. Enjoy your meal.
Yeah. And so like, that's just where, if we get anything from this conversation where I'm harping on the Mexico mission trip again, I'm not harping on anybody that goes on it. I'm not harping, and you may feel like I am, and I'm talking about the listener, not Tim. I don't have a problem with anybody going. I've had conversations with them, and not hostile ones or anything like that. Of just talking about the importance of looking domestically, looking at our own community and sitting there and saying, hey, are there needs that can be met and I'm not saying that you can't still go for a week, but also the other 51 weeks out of the year, are we meeting any needs here? Are we meeting needs here? Instead of just saving it all for this one trip up to Zion, so to speak, to where you can get your emotional or your spiritual high and then come back and be good from it.
Well, I think to be constructive about this, so we just don't leave it as a bitch session. I think you're correct. I think you're correct in that I think churches need to start thinking more intentionally. The difference between the domestic and the international, including Mexico, the extra border, is the intentionality of it. It's very easy to get intentional about outside the United States.
Well, yeah. I mean, let's talk about, I've used him as a reference on the show before, but John had made that comment that one time where he had asked JC and he had said, how much do we give to foreign missions? And JC said about 10%, which was $1 million budget at TFBC. And so it came out to be about $100,000. And so John was like, so you mean to tell me that if I got 10 of my teacher friends together, I'm one, so 9 other teacher friends together, and we tie at 10%, we could have just as much impact on foreign missions as we do at this church of 300 to 500 people at the time. And JC was like, yep, pretty much. Now, that being said, okay, so the John was focused on foreign ministry, but it's also like, okay, but you could also take that 100,000, you could donate it to people in our community here. Like, it doesn't, like, it just depends on the priority of the person, where it's like, okay, well, we can be helping out there and we can be doing that, but But I think that's been a part of church culture for such a long time that we need to go help. Again, what I talked about earlier with this white savior complex where it's like, other people need our help. And you're like, yes, absolutely. And they live on the same block as you, or they live in this vicinity. So help them there.
Yeah.
Where it's like, but we have this idea where it's like, we got to look outward. We got to go look somewhere else for problems because it's easier and more convenient to go and help them and view their problems and not look at our own. And that's kind of, and I mean, you talked about it's a bitch fest. If I'm bitching about anything, that's what I'm bitching about. Where it's this idea of, it's the same shit it's the same shit that we have with the problem with families in America, where it's like, I'm going to go out and fix other people's problems instead of focusing on the ones within my own household.
Yeah.
I'm going to go be a volunteer fireman when I come back from fucking the war. So that way I don't have to deal with all the shit in my house.
Yeah, come on, be a police officer because that's what I'm good at, which is that kind of thing. And then, but I still don't deal with the issue of my brokenness and what I've gone through because only sissies deal with that. And I'm not going to deal with whatever hurt my wife and kids had to deal with while I was deployed 12 times over a decade or whatever. We're just going to act like nothing happened and I'm going to go out and make money and the money's going to make it go away. And then I run into a really bad domestic situation and it sets me over the edge and I pull my car over and fucking commit suicide, which is loosely what happened 2 years ago to a cop Colton and I vaguely know. Certainly know the family in general because only sissies talk about the shit. And here's the thing about the cops, and this is what always gives me pause. I am one who is open to there's too much violence from police on civilians, particularly in certain neighborhoods. But what always gets left out of that conversation is the shit that those dudes are walking into on a daily
100%.
basis, which
the trauma, the adrenaline,
the adrenaline, which literally takes a decade off of their lives on average compared to the rest of society. And you expect them to come home and then just be like, leave it to be. We're like, hey, champ, how's it going? How's your fastball today? And, oh, good. How's your day, Dad? Oh, it's fine. Just saw, baby put in a microwave by the mom who's up on meth, but, it's all good. There's a great scene about that in the movie Heat, one of the great movies of all time, where the wife just is upset because Al Pacino won't share what's at work. He's like, yeah, what do you want me to do? Like, you want me to come home and share the shit I have to deal with as an LAPD detective? And then in the process, you and I talk about that. And I think that's what's hard for spouses, because I think we're trained as spouses to be able to, we can talk about anything. No, there's certain things I need a third party to talk about. It's hard enough for me to handle what I have to deal with. And we're talking about cops and firefighters. I think there's shit teachers have to deal with.
Yeah.
Not just even the stuff in the classroom, just understanding I have 12 kids in this classroom right now. Mom and dad are never home. They're all 8, 9, 10 years old and they're all parenting kids between 2 and 6. I don't know how to handle that. I'm not trained to handle that. I'm not even blaming the school system to be trained on that. No one should be trained on that. Yet, someone's got to be able to fucking talk about that. That's messed up. That's rough. And you can't come home and just unload on your wife because your wife's just woof, or your husband whoa, okay. Yeah, sorry, I don't know.
That's why we have summers off. For the psychological freedom.
I will say for the muscle memory.
Oh, yeah.
I'll give praise to the church we left. Particularly, I think this was JC's idea. We've talked praise about JC before. We just mentioned him a few minutes ago. JC one year did small groups. They very much encouraged people to do small groups. They pushed people to get into a small group.
Well, and they call them community groups.
And they call them community groups. And what was required for one of those, and here's my thing, I think this should be, and I know why churches won't do it, because if you make it required all the time, then people won't join community groups. But change your culture then talk to your people and change the culture. They required each community group to do a community project.
Yeah.
And our group did the soup. We chose to do soup kitchen because there was a need in the soup kitchen. So we did our soup kitchen for the 6 weeks that our community group was doing whatever bullshit Rick Warren thing we were doing, or 30 Days in the Word, which wasn't that bad. No, or the Word Made Fresh, which wasn't bad. I enjoyed that. If you don't know what Word Made Fresh is, it's basically a Bible with no chapters. No, it's written. It's published as the letter that it was written as, and it completely changes the way you read the Bible because you're reading it as whoever received the letter from Paul or Peter or John or whatever.
We did.
We so much fell in love with that we kept doing it for well over a year. And I would say 90% of the group that was in there, including myself, Danica at some point started having a heart for homelessness well before I did. I was never homeless hostile. I'll give praise to my dad. He never taught it to me. He never preached. There was never a moment where he turned around and said, "Tim, do this," or "Son, do this." He would do, and I would watch and observe and be like, okay, that's the way you do it. And my dad, for most of my life, he'd encounter a homeless person and he would do the simple thing of, I have money. I'm not giving you money, but I will go inside the 7-Eleven or this grocery store and I will buy you whatever you want. What do you want?
Yeah.
And if the guy said, I don't want anything, the really, a lot of times they're just bold. And I give him credit for being bold. They don't get credit points by being like, okay, I'll give you money anyway. But a lot of them are bold and like, no, I just want money for drugs. No, I'm not going to give you that. And usually my dad was something to just, no, I'm not going to do that. I understand. Can't imagine what you're going through. Just try to talk to him and not just like walk away and go to hell. And so that's a very good way of dehumanizing, I think, what a lot of us got mimicked, which was go to hell, just go get a job, you dumbass, or you're just going to use it to buy drugs. Don't give them money. It's just going to use it to buy drugs. Like, yes, they will. So let's find another way to reach out to them. But I didn't have anything for the homeless until we did that soup kitchen. And I think that transformed in some way just from a minor way of just of humanizing these people that are just generally dehumanized, mainly because of the life they choose, if we're being honest. I mean, they choose a life of dehumanization. We see the results of it, but we can dehumanize them as well. But I think it just humanized these people. And, half of us worked in the back, Andy and myself, maybe one or two other people. We did all the cooking. My love was through every time we cooked, I ran the kitchen, and the rule was I'm not serving anything I wouldn't serve in my house.
Yeah.
As a sign of respect and love for the people out there that were going to come through there. And you could, we took pride in the fact that when people walked in and saw it was us running soup kitchen that day, they were like, yeah, we're going to get fed. But also everyone in the front of the house.
But also, you do have to know that Tim did have to change things up a little bit where, again, when you're dealing with homeless people, you do have to be sensitive of their teeth.
You do. It was a lot of pancakes and eggs, if we're being honest. A lot of pancakes and eggs, but we made really good pancakes and eggs.
Something that they don't tell you when you're running a soup kitchen is the reason why they call it soup kitchen is really it's something that won't, where everybody's able, he's not making filet mignon because as tender as Tim would make it for them, it still would not be enough.
We actually had one of our farmer dairymen donate an entire cow.
Yeah.
And he called me up and said, hey, there's a cow for you and it's at the local meat locker. Go down and have them cut it up for the soup kitchen. It's all donated to soup kitchen.
Like, well,
you can only use it for the soup kitchen. I'm like, all right. So I go down there and the guy's like, what do you want? I was like, ground beef. And I bet he nearly threw his meat cleaver at me. And I was like, whoa. He's like, I am not. You can have that. Dave can come back and pick up this cow and take it away. I'm not turning this beautiful piece of cow into ground beef. I'm like, it's for a soup kitchen. He's like, I'm not going to do it. And I was like, fine, just cut it up for whatever. Cut it up how you'd cut it up.
Yeah.
which was a terrible mistake because it was like 1/4 ground beef. And then, it was like filet and tri-tip and roast beef. I'm like, I can't do anything with this.
I mean, you should have just gotten it. Yeah.
I think I took one roast and slow cooked, or I took several roasts one time and slow cooked them overnight and then chopped them up really fine and made hash.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, like, that's what you would have had to do, where it's like, just make it. When we did our community group, ours was, and I had actually suggested it was something that we had done with Brandon a couple of times, but we were all good friends with Greg. And so that actually made things easier for us, where we could find a need and fill it. And so I had made the suggestion to my group, which was, at the time, it was, well, and Covert was there too. So the Coverts and they were the 5 a.m. crew. So the 6 a.m. crew.
Oh yeah.
So I met with them and the Cornwinders early in the morning, and ours was bought groceries for some of our, we knew, I mean, it's helpful when you have principals on your squad that are able to look up demographics and look up, that kind of stuff and see who's getting free lunches, who needs like help in their community. They're also able to sit there and say, hey, we got this kid, we know what's going on with the parents. We know what's going on with the families, that kind of stuff. And so that was helpful. And so we went and gave out groceries. We went and bought like $200 of like essentials.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, okay, we're getting milk, we're getting eggs.
Hamburger helper.
No, we didn't get I was like, we were probably maybe a little more Michelle Obama than what a lot of people were wanting, but
I don't have no problem with that now. At the time I would have Bristol, but yeah, just stick to the basics.
Yeah, we got, cheese, pasta boxes or whatever, where it's like, okay, you can make something with this or whatever. And you could use it in multiple different ways, where it's not just like, okay, we're just going to get hamburger helper or instant mashed potatoes or whatever. We're going to get you some, salt, pepper, those easy kind of stuff. We got them toilet paper, we got them paper towels, and that was awesome. Going and we would go in and we would talk, and the families were always so grateful. And like, like, they could probably have a full fridge at that point, but that's
on them. That's on them. It's on you to provide a need. That's why I always look at that. My whole life was like, that was always the thing with the Christians, was like, how do you know he doesn't have money, or how do you know they're not going to go use that for drugs? And my thing was always, that's on them.
Yeah.
If they take money that I've given them, then Jesus judges them for misusing money that was given to them in good faith.
Yeah, it's not about
to provide food.
It's not about what they're called to do. It's about what you're called to do.
If I walk away and prejudge and be like, nope, and just make a determination, that's on me.
Yeah, and I think that, and to talk about when it comes to foreign versus domestic missions, I think that we are called to it every single day. I think that Jesus has asked us to take up our cross and to follow the mission and vision that he cast for us. And that means taking care of our brothers and sisters in Christ everywhere. And so, 100% going to Mexico and doing that kind of stuff is great. But also don't forget the other 51 weeks of the year.
I would say priority. I don't think God has a problem with priorities being, we're still human. Yes, we have the Holy Spirit. We're still human. And priorities have to be me. So my spiritual mental health, I have to take care of. Physical health. Those, I have to take care of that. That's number one. Family is two, or you want to get even more granular about them. Wife is second, kids are third. And then after that, we have these continuing circles outside of their of priority. And I would agree with you. Too much we have put the easy thing that only takes one trip a year or one trip every other year, or just even worse, I think what it is for most people, it's a tax write-off. It's a check and a tax write-off.
Yeah.
And we need to really be more, to use a poor phrase, inward focus. We need to bring that focus in home. And I think, on the one hand, I think we need to get away from relying on churches as our crutches. But I think as long as we have churches, particularly well-paid businesses that are called churches, those churches need to be much more intentional in how they try to help their church think in that way and talk about that. Say,
Well, and
your priority is your family, and your provider, your next priority is your immediate family, and then your priority after that is the neighborhood. And it's not just us doing a thing every week. And I'll say JC was integral to that because of JC's background. And I think a lot of times we have too many pastors. You're better off having a pastor. And JC wasn't literally this, but I said earlier, I would like 2 pastors on my staff who are therapists. I would love to have a pastor instead of degree in freaking in some Bible class.
Trinitarianism.
Yeah, I don't need someone with a MDiv or a M other thing. Give me a guy who lived on the streets for a year or 6 months or grew up in a shitty household and knows what it's like to live in that kind of household, who can say, like, we're doing small groups. No.
JC was definitely not that.
He was not that.
His dad's like a multimillionaire.
But he had a heart and a mind for it.
Oh, yeah, 100%. He grew up in Stockton or Turlock,
But he had a heart for it, and he understood that, and somehow, like, knew that world. And you need someone who can then, because I think it's easy. Yes, I accept the criticism of don't go to Mexico or wherever and come back and just go to the next thing. But I think it's also kind of, let's be honest, it's harder for people. I think sometimes it's hard to come home and go, like, I don't know. Like, we get overwhelmed by, I don't know what to do. And I think it's good. We need a church, someone in a church to say, do a small group, and I want you as part of that small group.
As a team to decide.
As a team to do this. Or we're going to spend the next 30 days, and instead of doing what we do every year, which is great, everyone buy 2 or 3 gifts for poor kids around Christmas time so we can perpetuate this fucking abomination of Christmas. Let's spend 2 months in September buying kids, or just finding families that need help, and not just buying them clothes for the start of the Christmas year, for school year, but what do you need moving forward?
Let's volunteer at a Boys and Girls Club. Let's get in a rotation of where it's like, okay, we're going to be there once a month, where we're going to go and throw a dodgeball tournament once a month for a Boys and Girls Club.
And be bold about it when you're up on stage and be like, you're not required to do this if you want to come here, but if you really want to be part of this church, we want you to volunteer for one of these things. Because I will say this, yes, we are supposed to be selfless, but let's not make fun of the fact that I think it's not bad to say, when I go and build a house for people who, by
no means
pure chance, which again is another thing we Christians don't want to talk about, which is like, yeah, you're the way you are. You have this nice little wonderful life because you think is because you grew up in the church and you're a Christian and you had a great family and all that. It's because you grew up in America and you're in a fucking middle class family house, and 99.9% of the world didn't grow up in those kind of circumstances. So I think it's good for us to go away and be like, I am not. I mean, my daughter Christina went when she was going into junior high, like finishing elementary school. She went on that same trip to go build houses with my wife and my youngest son. And she was torn up for like a month because she witnessed, like, there's poor people where they build houses, and then there's really poor families. And they handed out oranges to the really poor, like, indigenous families. And she went and saw kids go bury oranges because they wanted to savor them and eat them later. And she saw the other kids who didn't bury them for later eat their oranges, including the peel, which at first she was like, well, that's crazy. And then she was like, well, if you don't eat anything, of course you'd eat the peel. Like, only rich, like Americans who don't have to eat the peel.
I can't believe they're eating the oranges. Come on, guys. There's a book about this. The Grapes of Wrath is legitimately about poor families just eating the grapes off of the vine because they can eat nothing else. And then the wrath aspect of it is they go and they shit their brains out later, and they all have dysentery because they're all just, or no, it's not dysentery. What do you get from just eating citrus? Is it cholera? No, they get they get something. They get a disease basically because all they're eating is the
Dysentery?
dysentery. Is it
I
dysentery?
don't think it's dysentery. I don't remember what it is.
Well, that's why I said, is it cholera?
It
Or
might be
no?
cholera.
I don't know, but that's for those of you that don't understand the title of the Grapes of Wrath, remember it's about people moving from Oklahoma to California, but all the people that move from Oklahoma to California they become homeless and they live in these Hoovervilles and they go and they work the fields, and which is still something that happens today.
Yeah.
But while they're out working the fields, the only thing that they're able to get food for their families is the crops that are there. So they sneak grapes, and it's actually they're in Bakersfield when this story happens, and what's the name of the family? It's Jones. The Jones family is looking at Todd Jode. It's the Jodes. The Jodes are looking at another family, and they're all sick because they've been eating the grapes, and so they're actually not able to go to work, which actually means that they're just going to continue to starve. But they're eating the grapes that are now have a wrathful impact on their stomach. So, but that's where I was getting at with the oranges, where it's like, oh no, we're only bringing them oranges, so therefore they can't. But I know it's not that, but still. I'm sorry, I was making a joke. That is actually sad for the rest of the world. But there is a chapter dedicated to
Kwashiorkor,
so.
a protein deficiency.
Is that what it is?
And Staphylococcus aureus bacterium.
The fuck if I know.
I don't know. That's what Google says. Anyway, look, I think it's fine to go feel rejuvenated and, feel exceptionally thankful for the lottery you won. Not only the lottery of today, but lottery in the grand scheme of humanity. I feel, grateful about that. But I also agree with Colton that, what we have to watch for is that turns into, I'm back to work in a week and I'm not doing anything here. And so the word is the great word for that is intentionality. How do we become much more intentional? Intentionality is, I think, really the great word for most of our lives is what are we intentional about and what are we not intentional about? And so I think a lot of us believers are, including myself, are too much unintentional when it comes to our faith. And we're really good at being intentional. Some of us are really good at being intentional with the raising of our kids, and some of us are really good at being intentional at work. Some of us are exceptional about being intentional at work. We read books about it, mission, vision, good to great, all these things, and about being intentional at work, and then we don't apply it in our spiritual life. And that could be a variety of reasons. It could be complacency. It could be I think, misguided view that I'll just be guided by the Holy Spirit. So if I'm not being guided by the Holy Spirit to be intentional, that means the Holy Spirit doesn't want me to be. I don't think that's how it works. I think the Holy Spirit's more involved the more intentional and involved you are. And so I think it's a great topic. I think I'll go back to what I originally said. I think the church, if we have a great awakening in the church in this country or in the West even, I think it has to be around these things. It cannot be, if we have another fucking argument over theology, it's a wasted opportunity. This is a moment for the church. If we want to grow the faith and do it in a way that's pleasing and glorifying Jesus, I think it's in these kind of ways where we're doing more and arguing about less nonsense, and it's being more intentional, trying to fix what's broken. And we talk a lot about how you can misplace scripture, and oftentimes we can learn the wrong lessons. But I do think it's profound that, well, it's not even in the scripture. I think it's a profound lesson that the church always needs to learn from, that the biggest, most important growth spurt in the church was when it was doing what no one else would do, which was in the middle of this terrible plague in Rome. And at this point, the church was reviled as either crazy people or wild people or more generally apostates who didn't recognize Caesar as the one true God, instead had this dead crucified God, and they were a nuisance. And it took this moment of caring for people that no one would care for, and care for people who weren't Christians, which at that time was unheard of.
Yeah.
You did not care for people who weren't your people. And it led to this explosion. Well, one, this rethinking within the culture of, hang on, I don't think these people are the crazy people you say they are. And if they are, I want some more of that, because I want someone who's going to sit with me and care for me when everyone else has left town because the plague is running wild. I want more of that. I want someone who's going to stand by me and comfort me as I die, as my loved ones die or I die, or help me through this and I live through it. And so it's ironic. And it's ironic that in the United States, our biggest problem is a spiritual problem. And yet, in a lot of ways, I think we would help ourselves out by being more physically engaged with our own culture.
Yeah.
And it seems like that doesn't make sense, but we're both things. I mean, I don't think we're a country that should be acting like we're the best country in the world. I'm proud to be an American. We just celebrated July 4th. I don't want to live anywhere else in the world for a lot of reasons. I mean, the government could go to hell, and geography alone, who would want to live here? But, as broken as our culture is, there's a lot of things about our culture to love, and it's where I live. I don't want to live anywhere else, but stop with the greatest country in the world. We're fucked up. We're as fucked up as any other country. You pick me out another country and we're just as bad.
Yeah.
And we've fucked up a lot of other countries around the world. Just ask Mexico. We've destroyed Mexico because we have a drug habit in order to cover up our spiritual brokenness. So I had no idea that we were going to talk about this.
You didn't.
Props to you, Colton, for bringing that up. I think that's the best. There's sometimes I bring up something, I feel bad because I don't bring it up. But again, this show is kind of meant to be like, one, we don't have all the answers. Strong opinions, weekly held.
Yep.
And two, it's not two guys or one guy lecturing on a podcast telling you this is how everything goes and this is this and this is that, and anything outside of this is wrong.
Well, I said we were going to have to work through it. Like, and I hope, I don't know. I felt like I came in strong opinion, but again, it's weekly held. Like, it's not like, I don't think that I'm wrong. And the hard part is, again, I've had conversations with people in the past, and those are strong opinions, strongly held, and you're just like, all right, well, that's not worth having a conversation about or whatever, where they're ignoring what it is that I'm saying. And, therefore it doesn't feel like it's a conversation. It's more of a lecture. And so even tonight where it's like, no, you're right. That's not necessarily the case or whatever. And that's how I felt like it's been tonight, and I said at the beginning, we're going to have to work through this. Like, it's not just simply sitting there and saying, this is how it is. This is this extreme view. And then this is how it should be for the church moving forward, blah, blah, blah. But we are sitting there and saying, like, we're working through it together and saying, like, yeah, I think that there does need to be a focus on this and that the church does need to recognize this or whatever. And it's not saying that anything that what we talked about was bad. It just happened to be the catalyst for the conversation. So
I think sometimes the basis of this show is having conversations where we're just willing to admit things aren't working very well or they're not working at all.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean to say that everybody who's involved in church is a idiot and a loser or worse. It's just to be like, can we just start having a conversation about how this isn't working anymore? And the reason why people aren't showing up is because it's not working anymore. Or can we do better at this? Can we not just, it doesn't need to be a weekend or a spring break building houses. So things are solved usually that way. It's usually solved by one person raising a question and people being like, no, that's crazy, or that's kooky talk, or that's nonsense. Yeah. And then someone else bringing it up again and again. And then finally someone saying, yeah, let's have a conversation about that. and one person being the dickhead in the room that says, okay, well, what's the solution? Which Americans are, I don't know if Americans are worse at that than everybody else, but we're terrible at that. Okay, there's a problem, Skippy. What's the solution? And I hate that response because most of the time, no. Let's just have a conversation first. Because one, I might be wrong. Or two, I'm right, but I'm thinking about it wrong. I'm still thinking about it wrong. Like there's a problem here, but I'm not framing the problem correctly.
Right.
And until I frame the problem correctly, I can't solve the problem. For instance, when you started this conversation, it could be easily parody. It could be maybe distilled incorrectly as you have to do either foreign or domestic. And if you're doing the foreign, then it gets in the way of the local. I don't think that's what you meant.
No.
But someone could take that way. And I think some people could take that way. To which no. You've picked up a problem, which is we don't focus enough on local, but you're framing it still in an incorrect way. Let's reframe it so that now we can look at the problem, how we can maybe solve the problem. And we're probably not going to solve the problem tonight or tomorrow or a week from now. It's going to take lots of people having conversations and then.
Well, and I think actually what I was trying to do at the beginning in what you were saying was I was just trying to get down to the nitty gritty of when you say when anybody says foreign missions, that can mean a variety,
correct,
a wide realm,
absolutely,
of different things. And so it's like, okay, I'm not talking about this.
Yeah, we didn't even get into some of the kids that in our church that went off to like. One girl went off to Iceland.
Yeah, I'm not talking about fucking doing. I'm not talking about
street missions.
I'm not even talking about YWAM.
Yeah, YWAM.
Ministering to the scuba instructors, the Bahamas or whatever. That's not what I was talking about. I think we all know where we stand on that.
Yeah, it's always like it's when I hear like
I'm working.
Hear some.
Yeah, so I'm getting involved with YWAM and I'm going to Fiji. And I'm working with, and don't get me wrong, there are people that need Jesus in Fiji.
But still, it's like when you run into a Mormon.
They're like,
and you're like, oh yeah, where'd you do your mission work? And they're like, oh, I went to Rio. And like, oh darn, you like where did you go? Pensacola, Florida. Like. You're the
ones.
You're the true believer right here.
People that get sent to Tulare and Visalia, California. You're just like, man, good for you, man.
You're
gonna get your own planet. Exactly. You're gonna get your own planet for sure.
Your
wife,
no disrespect to
your wife will be impregnated for forever.
Exactly.
That is what you get for that. Well, if you've been listening to this episode of the Go to Hell podcast, we'd like to thank you. Please make sure you subscribe on whatever platforms you have available to you. But we do stand by what we said earlier, that if you are not watching Bluey as an adult, you can go to hell.
Amen. Particularly if you've watched Bluey and you don't like it. I mean, that's even stronger words. I've used the F word enough.
Go watch a Rusty episode. If you haven't done that, then go watch a Rusty episode and then be like, oh, okay, this is where the show is.
Come on. Just, yeah. Hell's waiting. All right. Postscript.
Yeah. A nice little PS here. Our last beer of the evening was from Burning Sun Brewing Company. Oh, dude, I can't. Can you read it in the forecast? Is that what it's called?
Fog in the forecast.
Fog in the forecast.
Yeah, he needs to work on his...
That's great. If you don't know anything about the Central Valley, California, we get thick, dense fog in our area. It actually helps a lot with our soil and our irrigation that a lot of people don't really recognize about our cultural climate that or not our cultural, but our agricultural climate that exists here. We get the reason why Central California is, the reason why Central California is the breadbasket of the world or whatever, and why we have so many different types of crops that are grown here is when we have a very temperate climate. Our coastal allows for, we're surrounded by mountain ranges, but still we get a lot of the coastal kind of weather. It's very temperate. Our colds don't get super cold. Our hots do get pretty warm. I'm not going to take that away from us, but heat, it doesn't have as much of effect on crops as cold does. Freezing temperatures that really affects ground, soils, the things that live in the earth. But then our fog also allows us to add a lot of moisture without making it too saturated. And so we get this super dense fog in our area, and it's kind of a staple of where we live. And so fog in the forecast is a great name for any kind of hazy IPA in our area.
Yeah, particularly this one. This one's very cloudy.
It is super cloudy. It's a hazy IPA that's 7.2% alcohol by volume. And again, it's from Burning Sun Brewing Company, based out of Clovis, California. I said it's very fruity, but also it's a good hazy.
It's good hazy. It's very pineapple, lush.
It knows what it's about as far as a hazy goes. Like,
yeah,
I don't want multiple, but I'll have one, and I like it. So if I was at the brewery and I had a West Coast or a Pils or something, then I'd be like, all right, let's have the hazy, and I wouldn't be upset about it.
I would have drank a bunch of these 5 years ago.
Yeah, probably.
When hazies came out, and now I'm over it. But they're still very popular in the market. The beer that's not popular is what you and I like, so we have to admit that. So it's a well done hazy.
Yeah, and that is our postscript.
All right. Thank you, Burning Sun.